Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 1 of our story. If you like this What If story and want to see part 2, let me know in the comments below. Before we start, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Also, check the description for more great content and my playlist. This story was posted by William Lawrence II on Wattpad. Now let's start. Prologue. Cybertron, our home. Once it was a peaceful world, but now it's in ruin, torn by millennia of conflict. Destroyed by the Decepticons and their leader Megatron, who waged a war that lasted for millions of years. A swirling vortex opens up over the moon, and from it comes forward a gigantic golden ship and a dark black ship. As they flies out of control, it leaves behind debris flying aimlessly through space. Eventually the war poisoned our world's core and Cybertron became a cold, barren wasteland, so we had to leave our home. The ship started to heat up into flaming ball of fire as it flew towards Earth. Getting caught in its gravity fields, it started falling into Earth's blue sea, while the other one crashes on the moon's dark side. The golden ship falls straight into ocean, making a gigantic splash, shocks many seabirds and spooking many dinosaurs that have been taken aback by the sudden fiery ball. As it descends deeper into ocean and collides hard with seabed, causing a huge tremor that shocked many deep-sea creatures, as many got blown away by the shockwave of the crash. But in our exodus from our home world, we discovered a world that will change the face of our civilization forever. As time passes, the ship became buried in the dark abyss of the ocean and remains there for the next million years as it rests at the bottom of the sea. A planet called Earth, a million years later. The Pacific Ocean. 11:43 p.m. Island, a scientific achievement in technology, home to thousands of scientists and their families, including with state-of-the-art security systems on par with the prison Tartarus and the artificial environment that offers safety and health. Near the tower's server room, a guard was walking down the hallway to keep out any intruders. He was minding his until he heard a growl from down the hallway. He puts his hand on his gun, ready for anything. The security guard walks down the hall, listening for anything suspicious. Something heavy and shady moves by one of the servers. He walks towards the hall while his gun was trained at the end of the servers. Suddenly, before he could do anything, a spear stabs him through the chest and he falls dead on the cold floor. The killer was a robotic Black Panther armed with twin cannons on its hips, and its tail was armed the very blade that killed him. The Panther grabs him by the neck and drags the body to a nearby closet. He uses his tail to open the door and threw him in the closet and locked the door and went down the hall. Ravage report. The voice on his intercom was a computer-like voice. He knew who it was. The Panther spoke, "Soundwave, I secured the perimeter. What's the status in the control room? Rumble's team has secured the control room. Commence phase 2 of the plan." Roger that. Ravage out. He runs out of the server and finds his teammate Frenzy standing on the second floor of servers. "Did you find server 383? "Yeah, found it. I start uploading the virus now." He walks to the server's computer right beside a dead guard and stabs it with a rod that starts uploading a virus. "How long till you find it?" Ravage says. "It will take a minute." On the computer it can be seen that the virus was stealing lab data very fast. There's so much hero items, it could be at anywhere in this hero nonsense. "Keep searching, it's got to be here somewhere. Keep searching," Ravage says to Frenzy standing next to the terminal. In a university somewhere in the city, a young blonde-haired girl with glasses was sitting comfortably in her room. She was wearing a red and white suit, jeans, brown boots. This was Melissa Shield. Melissa was in her lab working on a project that would help many people until someone knocked on the door. She got up from her chair and walked over to the door and saw her father, David Shield. He wore a bluish shirt, white jeans. "Dad, you're home." Melissa ran up to her father and gave him a big hug. He hugged back. "So, how's things in the lab?" David looks at what she was working on. It was a machine of some kind. "What are you working on?" "Just working on a project that would help many people," she says. David looks at her machine. "What kind of project?" Melissa gives him a sly look. "Nothing important." "Really?" David giving a knowing smirk. "Yep," she gives a happy yelp. He rolls his eyes and looks around the shelf and picks up a picture of him and his daughter. He stared at the picture frame, affectionately remembering all the good times they spent together. The single thought filled him with warm joy. As he was looking at the photo, Melissa rolled her chair to the computer. She checked the diagnostics, and David puts the photo down and decides to pull out his radio. "Control tower report. No response came from the other side. David becomes worried. Melissa looks at her dad and pulls up the cameras. Control tower report, now in a firm voice. Melissa feels like something up and decides to take a look on her computer. She quickly brings up the security feed, but she finds shocks, her dead bodies everywhere. Her father hears her gasp and takes a look and becomes shocked as well and covers his mouth in disgust and fright. But also finds something else that shocks her. She turns to father. Dad, look. Melissa shouts. David's shield walks to his daughter. He looks over shoulder. He saw his entire server was being hacked by an unknown threat and the massive amount of bodies. He needed to act fast before these villains steal anything valuable. He quickly starts calling a number. He puts the phone to his ear. We have a situation. What's the situation, sir? The voice from the other side of the phone. We got a breach in security. We need you to cut power to the servers. This shocks Melissa and the person on the other side of the phone. But sir, all our research. Just do it. He yells furiously. We can't let them get their hands on any secret intel. Just shut it down. Yes, sir. The comm link is cut. Melissa and her father look onward to the tower as the tower turns red and alarms are heard in the air. Frenzy was just about to open a file that said Project Stargazer until it unexpectedly shut down. What the scrap? Frenzy yells. Ravage looks around that the building's alarm was activated and red lights flash in his eyes. They found us. We need to move now. Ravage and Frenzy quickly jumped off the second floor and ran to the exit and found it was blocked by a wall, blocking the way to the way out. Well, now what? Frenzy says to Ravage. Freeze. A new voice from behind. They look back. They see 6 guards armed with guns pointing right at them. The security guards looked shocked. What they saw was a robotic cat, something that shouldn't exist. What the hell are you? One guard thought out loud. Quickly, Ravage and Frenzy shot them with their guns. 5 go down. One tries to fearfully run away. But Frenzy quickly fired 2 shurikens from his chest at the guard, to which he dies immediately after. Frenzy and Ravage hear a lot of people coming. They get ready to fight, but hear a transmission from their intercoms. Ravage, Frenzy prepare for extraction. A whirling vortex appears behind them. They both look at each other and nod. Then they run straight into the portal, and just before the guards could see them, the vortex disappears. The men look around in confusion. One guard looked around. Where the hell did they go? I don't know. A portal quirk. One guard with black hair and a mustache arrives in front of the group. Guys, you might want to see this. It's the control room. The guards follow him to the control room, but they find it destroyed and ransacked. Everything was destroyed. The hard drives, the computers were torn out, everything. The lead guard with dark hair looks at what remains of the control room. What were they after? He says, concerned. A scientist with scales all over his body comes forward in front of the man. We don't know. They somehow hacked past our firewalls in seconds. They also used a virus to corrupt the system. Can it be rebooted? Another scientist says, who was checking the computers. We can't. Whoever did this was a professional, someone with experience. But who? The lead guard says impatiently. The scientist puts his hand on his head. I don't know. I'm just as confused as you are, guys. Besides, I'm no detective. I'm just a scientist. And all security camera footage was erased. These guys were good. The situation was frightening. Whoever planned this assault had managed to hack past one of the world's most advanced security systems on the planet and steal highly secret intel, and whatever they stole could put the entire world in danger. 5 a.m. Japan. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, a different disaster was taking place. On the outskirts of a city, a prison is set ablaze. This is Tartarus, a prison complex that was the most secure place on Earth, having the most advanced technologies and weapons. It was said that nothing could break in or out of it. But now it emblazes. Gunfire was heard near the middle of bridge. Many police officers and pro-heroes were pinned down by the prison's defense grid had turned on them. As a result, many of their forces lay dead on the concrete. One pro-hero ducks behind a car. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, a hero who can control anything concrete. Everyone fall back. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 drop to the ground and creates several walls for cover. All lead back to the entrance. And as they retreat, many heroes and police are sadly gunned down by the prison's turrets. One pro tries to shoot the robotic turret with his quirk, which was an electric type. Die, you piece of scrap metal. His shots misses it. The turret turned towards him. Oh God. He gulps. He's quickly gunned down as well. The defensive turrets were located on the sides of the suspension bridge and on the walls of the prison. Even attacking from the ocean was a hard-fought battle. The defense grid extends to the ocean floor as well. Many water heroes were torn to shreds by underwater cannons, which were like many of the prison's defense system was originally made to stop anyone foolish enough to attempt a break-in, now being used against the heroes. A humanoid spotted seal who had muscular body. He wore a full-body wetsuit. He wore yellow goggles on his eyes. The hero's boots had retractable flippers and stylized S on the left shoulder. He was swimming back to the surface to regroup with the rest of the heroes. He leaped out of the water with perfect accuracy and landed behind a sandbag wall with many scared pros huddled in ball. Why do they have so much guns? It's Tartarus, of course. They have so many guns, they need them to keep the inmates in line. And now they're killing us, thanks. He walks past many heroes being treated for injuries, some more serious than others. Hell, some were missing whole limbs. He sees one hero he recognizes and runs towards a makeshift base made into a small store. What's the situation? A tall man with muscular physique, short crimson hair, sharp turquoise eyes. His beard and mustache seems to be on fire. His suit is a tight, navy turquoise bodysuit with lines of fire streaming across his chest, his arm, and his shoulders. His mask was on fire around his eyes and shoes. This was Endeavor, the Inferno hero, the number 2 hero in Japan. He was patrolling the streets when he saw smoke coming from the prison and went to see the problem. A police captain steps forward. Endeavor, the villains are tearing your heroes apart. We can't get an inch near that prison without getting caught up in bullets. We need to fall back. Endeavor looks to him and yells, "What? Are you saying that we retreat? You got a better idea?" An explosion wipes out 5 heroes, the fiery hero size, and gives the signals to retreat, and all heroes did so without haste. Some heroes trip on loose debris and are shot in the back by the turrets. The defeated heroes are hauled up in a small store that was protected by walls made by cementos. One hero sitting on the ground with a hand on his bloody shoulder. Apparently he lost his arm. "I didn't sign up for this. We need to get out of here. We can't retreat. We'll be showing weakness to villains." Endeavor yells out in anger. "We can't hold out against those guns. Attacking by land and air is impossible. I just lost my arm here." Ocean isn't any better. The seal man shouts, entering the store. The underwater defenses are too strong as well. Everyone in the store turns towards him, surprised at the arrival of a new hero. "Excuse me, but who are you?" the police captain says, sitting on the counter. "𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫." The captain is surprised to see a familiar hero. "Captain Hiroshi. It's good to meet you," the police captain says. 𝐀𝐿𝐾𝐻's eyes narrow down curiously on him. Endeavor looks at the destroyed heroes on the bridge through the window, clenching his fist tight, staring at prison with firm eyes. Who are these people? They're not ordinary villains. This was too well organized for anyone else. Endeavor looks at the captain. How did this happen? Hiroshi turns to the fiery hero and sighs. "Okay, this is the overall story, I know." He gestured them to sit down and they all sit down. "It started 30 minutes ago. We lost contact with Tartarus security when they reported experiencing electrical problems. Then they went dark and civilians reported that explosions and gunfire were heard coming from Tartarus." Endeavor's face became stern. "Explosions? Gunfire?" 𝐀𝐿𝐾 says, concerned. "Yes," Captain Hisashi says grimly. Then the prison's silent alarm was activated, indicating that intruders have infiltrated the prison, so a task force of heroes and police to reinforce the prison and arrest the intruders. But they already have taken control of the most secure place on Earth without effort. The heroes are shocked at the captain was saying, "This shouldn't be happening. Tartarus was supposed to be indestructible. No one was supposed to get in. It was supposed to be impossible, but it was happening right now." All the police captain does is stare at the prison through a crack in the hole, feeling that this could be the beginning of a new age. Tartarus 5:26 am. As many prison guards and prisoners lay dead on the floor, one prisoner was running fearfully away from what appears to be a mechanical human giant, aiming its gun at him before vaporizing him completely. The giant had armor that had vehicle parts, specifically jet parts. There was more of them. All of them had the same armor but different colors, schemes, and faces. "Secure the perimeter and make sure nobody gets out alive." The leader of the group was the same armor like the rest of the group. She was a female wearing purple armor with wings of a jet fighter. "Captain Slipstream," a voice from behind her. This villain wore the same armor like the rest of her squad but a different color scheme as it was green. She walks to her superior and salutes. "Sir, the target has been secured." He points to the main building that belonged to the prison guard staff. We have downloaded all the data on the server. Slipstream smiles to this. Excellent work, Acid Storm. She turns to another female in the group, status of the lower levels Nova Storm. She salutes her. The drones have cleared and flooded the lower level, no survivors. Slipstream grins maliciously. Good, our mission has been completed. Set the bomb, we leave no evidence of us here. The group nods and they started to plant a large box down near the center of the prison complex. Nova Storm pressed the button and starts to beep very loudly. Alright, Seeker Squad Delta, prepare for extraction. All the Seekers quickly line up in formation as the same swirling vortex from the tower opens. Slipstream turns to her squad. That's our exit, move it, go go go. They quickly rush into the portal, leaving the commander alone. She turns to the prison and says, "Sayonara, scrapheads," before disappearing into the portal as well, and timer on the box now hits 0. The prison complex is engulfed in a massive explosion of fire that destroys it and everything in it, sending debris and body parts everywhere, landing on buildings and the people that were watching the prison from a far distance. It seems there's no survivors. Captain Hiroshi and the rest of the heroes were taken aback by the sudden explosion. Hiroshi quickly ducks behind the counter as rocks burst through the windows, knocking multiple heroes out. Hiroshi pops his head out from the counter, seeing that the rocks have stopped. He jumps over the shelf and heads towards the exit, and what he saw shocked him. Everything he saw was destroyed streets, buildings, cars. Nothing was left unscathed, including the heroes. Everywhere he saw fire and destruction and chaos as citizens scrambled to their loved ones. In the midst of the chaos, as the waves crash against the stone sea wall, a hand reaches out of the water and grabs the bars of a sewer drain. The person was a woman in her late 30s. She had short dark blue hair with numerous scattered pink strands. She wore a red-orange prison inmate jumpsuit with the numbers 656,698. She climbed out of the water and pulls herself up into the sewer drain. She breathes heavily as she is tired from swimming through the waves. She looks down the drain. She didn't want to see what was in there, but she heard sirens coming from above. They were heading to Tartarus to see if anyone survived. Coast Guard and sea-based pros are probably gonna start searching the waters for leftover guards or any villains attempting to escape. She needed to get out of the search area quick, so she took a deep breath and ran into the darkness of the drain. Above a tall apartment building was a young teenage boy. He had dark brown hair and blue eyes. The boy was wearing a blue long-sleeved button shirt, brown jeans, and black leather shoes. The mysterious teen stared at the fiery remains of the prison with a look of suspension and fear, like he's seen this before and never wanted to see again. He shifted his gaze to the new morning sky and he sees a tiny dot in the sky. The teen's eyes glow red and show computer-like programming inside it as his eyes zoom in on the object. It was a mechanical bird with red-white scheme. The unknown teen gasped with terror. Decepticons. The teen suddenly leaps high off the apartment, somersaulting in the air, and falls in the direction of an alleyway. He was about to hit ground hard, but his feet shift into rocket boosters and he lands safely on the ground. He looks around to see if anyone saw him, and when he sees that the coast was clear, he runs into the alley. Sewers smelly, dirty, filthy, among other things. CRP, no one ever traveled down the sewers, not even villains unless under special circumstances. She'd been wandering through the rat-infested sewer system for 8 minutes. Her shoes were dirted by the filth on the wet floor, which consist of human or rat droppings. The smell was getting worse by the minute. She needed to get out of the drains before the city's sewer water starts to rise or accidentally run into any search parties looking for runaways. Voices were heard coming from a manhole in the ceiling. She sees a set of climbing bars leading up to the manhole. She walks over to grabs them and starts climbing up to the manhole to listen in on the conversations very closely. Guys, did you hear that? Somebody blew up the prison. That impossible, nobody can. It's Tartarus. How can anyone that? Do you think anyone survived? What kind of quirk could make an explosion like that? I don't know, but I'm sure that the heroes have it covered. How are you sure? Did you see the size of that explosion? Yeah, what the hell were those heroes doing? The panicking voices filled the air. The people's fragile sense of security was slowly crumbling, but some still had their faith in the system. This seemed to annoy the prisoner a lot, but decided to ignore it for the time being. Once she no longer heard anything else, she made her move. She pushed the manhole aside and peeked her head out of it. She was in an empty back alleyway behind a shop. The prisoner climbed out of the manhole dirted and covered in filth. She takes a peek into the shop's window and sees it's a clothing store. It's closed for the night, but someone left the window unlocked, and so she broke into the store and quickly got changed her clothes. Her new outfit consists of a purple jacket with a zipper and a skirt. She also wore glasses and a hoodie. Now in a new set of clothes, she needed to find a new place to hide out and safely dispose of her prison clothes, which were in a garbage bag she held on her back. Now she had to do was find a perfect hideout. She walks away from the blinding lights of the city and into the darkness of the streets. This alleyway was filled with nothing but unfortunate citizens that were born with less than favorable quirks. Some of them are poor people, while mostly are criminals stealing to survive. She may not know who attacked the prison and why, but all that matters is that she's finally free from Tartarus. She hears some footsteps coming from the entrance on the right. She quickly hides behind some trash cans. She sees a young teenage boy wearing a blue long-sleeved buttoned shirt, brown jeans, and black leather shoes. He looks to his phone. She extends her arm, preparing when, "Hey guys, meet me at the shelter, we need to talk." A shelter for homeless. She was surprised that were still homes for the homeless left. She might as well follow him to this supposed homeless shelter, after she's Lady Nagant, the woman who never misses what she got to lose. Season 1, Episode 1, Tartarus Prison. 3 hours later, a news helicopter was flying over the remains of Tartarus, the sound of construction workers working overtime as they were fixing the damage, and heroes and rescue personnel searching the rumble for trapped civilians. And while that was happening, Police Captain Hiroshi and his squad were scouring the streets, searching for any escapes while also avoiding the media. The attack on Tartarus was a massive shock to the whole country. That prison has stood for decades, holding the world's most dangerous villains, now was destroyed. And as such, once word got out that the prison was obliterated, multiple villains in the shadows started to rise and attack the public. Heroes were quickly mobilized to counteract the sudden rise in crime. Hiroshi walks past debris before he saw his sergeants carry something into a police van. Hiroshi decided to investigate. They both wore the standard Japanese police uniform with the wireless radio. Kuji and Sasaki were their names. Both of them were good friends of his. Kuji Asami had brown hair and glasses. Sasaki Ryu had red hair and wore the standard police hat. "What the hell am I looking at, Kuji?" "I have no idea, man. I just found it in the rumble." Sasaki looks behind him to Hiroshi coming towards them. "Oh, hi, Captain. What are you guys talking about? We got to." He stops mid-sentence, seeing what they found, staring at it in disbelief at what they were talking about. It was a purple robotic spider with 4 legs and armed with an advanced weapon of some kind on its back. Kuji turns to his superior. "We found this in a dumpster. Its lid was smashed through." The captain snaps out of it and turns to him. "Smashed through? Where did it come from?" "I think it came from the prison, sir. It may have been caught in the explosion." Hiroshi checks around to see if anyone was listening. Seeing that no one was watching, the reporters were all too busy searching for heroes to bother for their views on the heroes. He turns back to his mentor, whisper to them, "Okay, I want you to take it to our storage container and keep it quiet. We don't want the media and heroes to get involved. They just make it worse. I'll meet you back at the station." Go. Both his men salutes and jump into their police van and drive off, while Hiroshi stays behind, waving goodbye, and start walking to his police car. Unknowns to him, a foreign police car was watching him and his men from a distance. It was a 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 S281 Mustang police car with the words "to punish and enslave" on the door. The mysterious driver revs his engine to follow the van to where its destination. Muzudafu Dagoba Beach. 6:04 p.m. Dagoba Beach. It was a appealing public beach people would visit. It was even a famous date spot, but as trash started drifting towards the beach, became polluted as people started to dump their trash illegally. A young teenage boy was loading junk onto a truck. He was wearing a white shirt and yellow shorts and red shoes. He had green hair and freckles on his face. He was Izuku Midoriya, a young quirkless boy who dreams of becoming a hero like his mentor All Might. After Izuku showed his bravery in the face of a powerful villain with a sludge quirk trying to save a fellow student, All Might decided to train this boy to inherit his powerful quirk one for all. It was starting to get dark, so he was getting ready to leave when saw his mentor exiting a black SUV. He was a skeletal man with sunken dark eyes and long blonde hair. He wore a jumper. This was Toshinori Yagi, who secretly was the #1 hero, All Might. "Hey, young Midoriya, need a lift?" Izuku walks up to the SUV, staring at it with amazement. Midoriya smiles. "Thanks, All Might. He gets into the car before they drove off, leaving the beach. But as they were leaving the beach, two new cars were watching them. One was a Urbana 500 muscle car which had yellow and black stripes, a red, orange and yellow Lamborghini Murcielago car with flame stripes. None of the car's drivers could not be seen through their windows, they were all darkened so they can't be seen on the inside. The two cars rev their engines and speed off, attempting to follow them. As they were driving along the city streets, they stopped at the traffic lights as it turns red, and all that is heard was the hum of the vehicle they were in. All Might turns his successor, so everything packed for the tomorrow. Midoriya turns to his mentor, confused. What? Our trip to the forest, of course. Midoriya blinks 3 times before realizing it. Oh, that, yes, that, everything packed. 𝗏𝗏𝐸 smiles at his young successor. When the lights turn green, he presses his foot on the pedal and drives off past the traffic lights. So how's your training going? Good, All Might. I'm getting stronger, but I'm still unsure that it will be enough. He looks down, frowning. Izuku feels a hand on his shoulders. He looks up and sees All Might. It's all right, young Midoriya, you will be a hero. I promise you that. He suddenly transformed into muscle form, making Izuku jumps up in surprise. Don't you worry about a thing, you will be the hero of your dreams. I swear on my life you be a hero. He suddenly poofs back into his true form while coughing blood from his mouth. Midoriya smiles, thinking about how his life changed for the better. For years he was suffering from bullying by his old childhood friend 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 for being quirkless. His life seemed hopeless until he met his idol All Might, who gave him the hope he desperately needed. They stopped at another traffic light where they saw a large TV screen on the building with the headline, "Tartarus destroyed, villains still at large." Everyone in the vacancy stops to look at the screen. Whether they were walking their dog, traveling with their family, or just delivering food, they stopped to watch the broadcast. Since its construction during the rise of the first hero licenses, Tartarus has stood as the Japan's most secured prison, holding the world's most dangerous inmates. The reporter continues, during the attack it was reported that 823 heroes were killed and 40 were injured, and the prison staff were reported killed as well. There were no survivors. The people gathered around covered their mouths in shock, including Izuku and 𝗏𝗏𝐸. This many heroes killed was unheard of before. Usually the heroes were injured but not killed, at least not at this amount. And no survivors of the prison. Many started to question if the heroes were getting sloppy and lazy. The lights turn green and all the cars drive forward, including the SUV they were in. 𝗏𝗏𝐸 looks down, frowning. Izuku sees this. All Might, you alright? 𝗏𝗏𝐸 sighs. No, I don't think so. Izuku. Midoriya looks around, seeing lots of people feeling uncomfortable taking this new information in. For years the heroes stood strong against the villains and their devious intentions. Now they lost the most important prison ever. Izuku turns to his mentor. Hey, All Might. 𝗏𝗏𝐸 turns to Izuku. Yes, young Midoriya, what is it? Izuku stares at him for a second before resuming. Were you there at Tartarus? 𝗏𝗏𝐸 looks down in shame. No, I wasn't there. Sadly, I was fast asleep during the siege. I only got there after the explosion. But did you find any evidence? Izuku interjects. I heard that the authorities are looking for clues for the perpetrators, right? 𝗏𝗏𝐸 looks to him and sighs. That's what we told the public to calm them down. We searched the prison for any clues that might help us, but found nothing. It's like no one was attacking Tartarus at all. 𝗏𝗏𝐸 places a hand on his head, and the security camera circuitry were completely fried and no one, not even the inmates, survived the attack. Apparently whoever orchestrated the attack did not want any witnesses. But why did they go this far? Izuku, still having trouble finding this situation understandable. He understands that they did not want to be seen, but why kill everyone? I don't know, Midoriya, I don't know. A feeling of unease filled the atmosphere of the car. Izuku, feeling increasingly nervous, didn't know what was going on. All Might sees something wrapped around his neck. Hey, young Midoriya, what's that around your neck? Izuku breaks out of his nervous and looks at the disguised #1 hero. Oh, this. He grabs the object in question. It was a golden chained necklace which held a blue crystal of sword on it. It belonged to my father. Your father? 𝗏𝗏𝐸 looks at the quirkless inheritor. Yeah, Dad worked overseas, so I didn't really know him that much about him, only what my mother tells me. And what does she tell you? All Might says, curious. She said that my father was a loving man who always been there for his family and never left them. But, Izuku, then he stares at it with it. look of sadness. He disappeared 7 days after I was born, completely without a trace. 𝗏𝗏 eyebrows raises, no trace. Yeah, no trace. My dad vanished and authorities searched all over for him, but came up empty. So they had to dismiss the case. He holds the crystal tightly. This is the only memory we have of him is this. He left this in my mom's possession before he disappeared. Izuku feels a hand on his shoulder. 𝗏𝗏 looks at him with a warming smile, telling it was gonna be alright. Izuku nods, thankful for the warming gesture. The rest of the entire ride was silent for minutes. No one in the car said anything for the entire ride. They finally reached a large apartment block. This is Izuku Midoriya's apartment, the place that has been his home since childhood. Midoriya gets out the car and turns to All Might. Thanks, All Might. No problem. He then drives off, leaving Izuku there on his own. He starts to walk towards the apartment block. Unbeknownst to him, he was being watched by the two cars. The red race car releases tiny bug-like drones into the air, and they started implanting themselves into the 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴, halls, and the rooms of each apartment. The two cars then park right in the parking lot and wait. Midoriya residence. Morning. Morning is here. Morning is here. Morning is her dash. Izuku presses the button on his alarm, shutting it off. He pulls himself up, looking around his room. His room was a small one at that, except it was filled to the brim with All Might merchandise, All Might posters, All Might action figures. The whole room was All Might theme. Izuku, breakfast is ready. Hurry up, you better eat it before it gets cold. Hearing his mother voice outside his door, he gets up from his bed and walks into the hallway. He hears the sound of sizzling bacon on the fry pan. He went out of the hall and saw his mother. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 Midoriya was a woman who wore a pinkish long-sleeved shirt, a dark blue skirt. She had gained a little weight over the years, but she doing good, doing everything she can to raise him a good boy. Her son was a good young man, always wanted to help people despite his lack of a quirk. He was bright one and smart and a willingness to help people in need, but as years passed she felt useless as she couldn't help her son who was being bullied by the neighborhood boys. She gained weight over the years due to her inability to protect Izuku, but when he said he was going to do the UA entrance with the help of a mentor, she was skeptical. Hell, she still is skeptical of his words, thinking he was a con man, taking advantage of her son, but her son seemed to trust him, so she has no choice but to trust him as well. Izuku, is something wrong? 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 looking at her son. Izuku waves his hands, dismissed. No mom, I'm okay. 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 looks at her son. You sure? He nods his head. 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 breathes in relief. They both sit down to eat their breakfast, and while they were doing that the television broadcast was on showing the Island. Breaking news, we have received word that for the first villains have broken into Island. They perk their heads up. The Central Tower server was broken into 2 nights ago, which resulted in the death of several guards and scientists who were working. The current whereabouts of the perpetrators is still under dash. 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 turns off the TV. Izuku looked surprised at what his mother did. That's horrible. First Tartarus, now Island. This is terrible. I hope David is alright. Izuku looked at his mother in confusion. David. 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 sighs before getting up from her seat and walks towards the hall closet and grabbing from it a small box. She walks back to the table, placing the box on the table. She then opens the box, revealing several photos, but 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 grabs one particular picture. The photo shows a picture of 2 scientists. One was David Shield, Isaac Sumdak, and the other looked like an older version of Izuku except with black hair and a hair on his face, shaking hands with each other. Izuku's face became shocked. Is that dash? 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 nods. Yes, it's your father Hisashi Midoriya, and that is his friend David Shield. Izuku became flabbergasted. His dad knew the David Shield. How is this possible? Why didn't she ever told him that his dad was friends with the world-famous David Shield, All Might's first sidekick who helped him to become the symbol of peace? Maybe he could tell him more about. And, are you finished? 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 deadpans. Apparently Izuku was muttering against without him realizing. Izuku blushes. Sorry mom, he sheepishly says in an embarrassed tone. You didn't tell me that my dad was friends with David Shield, the world-famous scientist for heroes and All Might first sidekick. 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 rolls her eye and sits down. Anyway, your father was a member of his class during their academy years. As you know, he was one of their top scientists, equal only to David Shield. They were good friends and 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨 Takeda was his stage name. But why did he never told anyone his true name? Izuku still wanted answers to why he did no one tell him anything regarding his father. Why didn't you tell me anything about him? Well dash. The doorbell rings, stopping their conversation. 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 and Izuku look at the door. Izuku instantly realizes who it was at the door. He quickly jumps up out of the seat, which startled Inko, who was frightened. Izuku quickly reassures his mother, "It's okay, it's my teacher Mr. Toshinori, I got to go now." He quickly grabs his bags, runs towards the door. "Bye mom." "Wait, I didn't dash." He closes the door before she can finish. She sighs before pulling out another picture out of the box, showing a photo of Hisashi holding a baby Izuku closely as he sits next to younger Inko, who was laying in the hospital bed. She sheds a tear thinking about all the wonderful times they had together. "Hisashi, what am I gonna do? If only you were here, maybe he'd listen to you and things would be better. For all of us," she thought while holding a picture of Inko, Izuku, and a small light green-haired girl in a blue and purple dress with roses on it. Outside, Izuku walks the stairs while thinking about the conversation he had with his mother. He may not knew his dad much, but the whole world knew about him. He was a scientist and a darn good one. Many saw his creations as miracles of science and innovation, bringing comfort and happiness to the homes of everyday citizens around the world. He also owned a tech company known as Hanma Industrial, which created quirk items for civilians only and people with uncontrollable powers. But he was also infamous for many things, such as his dislike for authority, his habit for ignoring the request for companies and government to make quirk support items, and insulting pro-heroes in the face for their ignorance on the corruption of hero society. So, as you can imagine, he wasn't well liked by the public and heroes, which caused a rift between him and society. The only who respected him was his employees and staff. His company's work culture emphasized the value of its workers, as he employed people with mutant quirks and villainous quirks, people who couldn't do their quirks. When he disappeared from the map, the government moved in to secure the technology to be used by the pros, but before they could do that, company employees and friends loyal to him quickly destroyed every last remaining piece of technology he ever invented. Izuku and his teacher All Might were carrying their bags to the car to go to the Alps. All Might was loading the camping gear into the car while Izuku was carrying his luggage. Izuku was just opening the door to the back when he heard something squeak. Something big was approaching from behind him. He turns around to see what it is, and what he saw shocked him. A huge female anamorphic fox standing 10 feet tall. Her fur is light teal, she jeans and a button-up shirt. Izuku quickly frees up. He never seen a mutant this tall before, especially a woman. The woman is seen walking towards them. Izuku nervously backs up a bit. He never been this close to other girls before. The only girl he ever talked to besides his mother was Kasumi Bakugo, his old childhood friend. "Hello, do you live here?" Her sweet voice interrupts his thoughts. He starts shaking frantically. She tilts in confusion. "Is something wrong?" He shakes her head. All Might sees this and moves in to keep his apprentice from fainting. "Sorry about him, my friend. He doesn't do well around other people, sorry." She looks at the blonde skeletal man before realizing, "Oh really, I'm so sorry, I just moving in. 𝐒𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, nice to meet you. I'm just picking up the last box here." Izuku realized something. "You're the new neighbor we were getting," he says in a surprised tone. The fox woman nods before carrying the box away. "Well, see you later," she says quickly before quickly vanishing out of sight. Izuku meanwhile is blushing hard. He never meet a girl this cute. He was muttering nonsense and gibberish before All Might shake him a bit. "Come on, let's get going, we got a long way to go, young midoriya." Izuku calms down and gets in the car, closes the door and buckles his seatbelt while All Might starts the SUV and puts his foot on the pedal, and the car speeds away. And while they drive away, the two mysterious cars from yesterday were monitoring them closely from a distance from an empty bridge. Island Academy. It's been 2 days since the break-in and things were getting hectic on the island as it is. People are starting to become concerned about a second attack, and security won't stop them next time, as the island government tries their best to calm down the citizens, saying they will increase security around the island to make it safer. But Melissa Shield wasn't having any of it. She was determined to discover the culprits before they strike again and prevent any more attacks. And here she was in her lab searching for anything that could help her in her quest, as she was typing furiously on her computer trying to access a file on the Island Tower database. It says, "Access denied." She types again few more times, "Access denied." Her eyebrows twitch with frustration. She goes again, "Access denied." She raises her hand and it turns into a fist. Knock knock. A sudden knock on the door gains her attention. She gets up from her seat and walks towards the door and opens it, to which she is met by a familiar sight. It was the green-haired girl from the photo. This time she wore a small scientist outfit consisting of the white trench coat and a pink shirt and a black skirt, black shoes. "Izumi, what are you doing here? I thought you'd be busy in computer class." She walks right into the room and observed the layout. Her attention is turned to the computer. "Normally I would, but our teacher wanted me to tell you that you've been skipping class for 2 days. Melissa rubs her head nervously. She was completely boxed in. Izumi Midoriya was the smartest girl ever. She needed her excuse quick. "Hey, Izumi, why don't we hang out somewhere else? Like, what about the cafeteria? Or maybe the roof? Yeah, let's go to the roof." She grabs Izumi by the wrist and pulls her towards the door. But the little girl wasn't having any of it. She pinches her hand hard, which makes Melissa reel back in pain while holding her hand. "Ow. What was that for?" She looks angrily at her while rubbing her hand. Izumi just gives her a bit of a smug look in her eyes. "Why are you looking at me like that?" "Well, no reason. Except 1 inch." She points behind her. "Little thing." Melissa turns to where she's pointing. "Your computer." Her eyes wide with shock. Her computer was still open. She quickly shuts it and turns back to the child genus. "Th, that's my homework assignment." "Yes, my homework." "Yeah, nothing wrong with that, huh?" Izumi just looks at her with a questioning look. "Does your homework involve the Island main database?" Izumi says, eyebrow raised. They both stand silent for a moment, unable to make a move. Melissa looks at her with growing suspense. It takes a few more moments before Melissa sighs. "Okay, you caught me." She opens up the computer, showing Izumi what she's working on. Izumi quickly grabs the computer, surprising the girl. "Hey!" Izumi starts typing fast on the laptop, amazing Melissa with her skills. She was impressed, be awestruck by her until access granted. Melissa's mouth opens wide open. "How did you do that?" Izumi just looks at her with a blank stare. "Oh, nothing, just managed to hack past the firewalls they just recently put in place." Izumi sits down in the chair and twirls it around to face her. "So why were you trying to get access to the security cameras?" Melissa sweats. The atmosphere in the room started to get cold. She wanted to keep this topic secret. She didn't want anyone to know what she was working on, but she couldn't deny it. She was the Academy's best computer analyst. She needed her. So Melissa then sighs and lets it out. "I'm trying to figure out who attacked the servers." "Whoa, really?" Izumi eyes wide. "They hacked past the firewalls in seconds, and those were the world's most advanced security network in the world. So why haven't told your dad about it?" Melissa turns to her. "My dad is too busy at moment right now. So it's just you and me." She gestured to the two of them. Izumi is currently unpleased but continues to work on computer. "Really, these guys managed to do what others could only dream of doing. Seems to me that these guys have a lot of experience in this kind of thing." "A lot of experience, huh?" Melissa sits on the shelf. Izumi proceed to access the security system, and what they found shocked them. Multiple weird symbols started appearing on the screen, appearing and disappearing. Melissa was bewildered by this. All these symbols coming out of nowhere. There was no explanation to this. It was extraordinary. "What's happening?" The young Melissa is bewildered by these symbols. None of them were unknown to her. Izumi was looking at the screen in confusion. Is this what they stole? But what was it they put so much effort into steal from the servers? Melissa looks at a particular file, something they didn't steal. Izumi sees it as well and moves the mouse to click it. Then a page revealing the word Project Black Knife appeared in the screen. Izumi clicks on it and it began showing pictures of 4 strange things: a blue F-22 Raptor flying over the Empire State Building, a 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 S-15 driving around the highway in Tokyo, the famous Kingston storm wall, a large electrical anomaly located in the Pacific Ocean, and finally images of a gigantic golden ship of 𝐒𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 hidden somewhere underground. What the hell is this stuff? Is this what they stole from the server room? Something doesn't seem right. This was becoming more worrisome each minute. Just what were those pictures trying to tell them? Izumi, however, narrowed her eyes on something written on the computer. Melissa sees this and looks right at her. Izumi, something wrong. Then she suddenly got up and walked out of the room, leaving behind a confused Melissa Shield. As they leave, the computer shows who Izumi was looking at, meaning it belongs to someone. At the bottom of the page it says Hisashi Midoriya. The 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 Forest. The 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 Forest, an appealing place of spectacular scenery and breathtaking views. After an hour-long drive across the city, they managed to reach the entrance of the 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 Forest. Parking somewhere near a giant tree, All Might was listening to the sound of nature breathing in the fresh air while in buff mode. "Can you smell that, young midoriya?" he say, taking deep breaths. "That is the smell of nature right there." Izuku walks up to his mentor looking at a waterfall. "So All Might, why did you bring me here? Don't you remember to train you, of course?" Villains sometimes use the forest as an escape route. All Might turns to him, raising a finger in lecturing gesture, and to hide all kinds of illegal activities, including using it as hideouts and smuggling drags. He grabs a piece of paper and gives it to Izuku. "I want you to navigate the entire forest in order to find my location marked on this while I'm playing the villain." "Okay, All Might." "But why play the villain?" Izuku nods. All Might still grinding, to add a little bit of excitement to our trip and give a bit dramatic flair. He jumps into the air while yelling. Izuku looks on, bewildered, surprised. He shakes his head, coming to his senses, and proceeded onward into the forest to find his mentor. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 was now lost. After narrowly avoiding the authorities without being detected, the former hero managed to make it to the 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 forest with no incident. Now far away from civilization, she became very lost. The only thing she had was a can of green hairspray she swiped from shop, which she sprayed on her head to help hide her identity a bit. She walks up the hill, passing many rocks and trees on the way while avoiding anyone that could attract unwanted attention. She stops when flock of birds fly over her and into the direction of the city. 9 years. 9 whole years. Has it been that long already? Originally she thought she never see the light ever again after her life sentence, and here she is in a forest with view of the city and free from prison, all thanks to whoever blew up Tartarus. And now that she thinks about it, this is a chance to start a new life for herself. No more prison, no more being watched 24/7, no more being looked down by the guards, and no more heroes. As far as the world's concerned about, she's dead along with 100 other inmates in Tartarus. She becomes very tired from all the walking and decided to take a rest on a nearby rock. She be out here, she needed to find somewhere to rest and relax quick. The more she stays out in the open, the more risky it becomes, and she's not going back to another hellhole to rot. But what to do after she finds a good hideout? When she was still working for the HPSC, she had everything: food, home, water, but after that incident she was thrown in Tartarus. Formerly she was a ex-pro hero responsible for a fake crime, and now she's a dead woman on the run from the same people she protected from a reality their government did not want them to know about. She's so tired of all the lies, the deception, the killing, all of it. Now all she wants to do now is rest and be done with it. Forever. She hears something coming from 2 separate directions, one coming from the bushes on the right and another coming from downhill to her left. Thinking fast, she quickly jumps behind the rock she was sitting on as the voice gets louder. From the bushes, Izuku midoriya comes stumbling out, before wearing a shorts, a black t-shirt with red shoes. He was muttering like crazy, it was kind of funny. And the other was a short girl with brown hair with a slender but curvaceous body, and her eyes were big and wide. The outfit she wore was a gray shirt, green jacket, dark navy blue skirt, and pink shoe-laced boots. Kana also hears something coming from a different direction, so wanting to see where this goes, so she lies in wait for the right moment unnoticed. But unknown to her, thing was flying straight for her at full speed behind her. Izuku midoriya has finally found the path up. Now all he to do was follow it. If I can get to higher ground, I'll have a better chance at finding All Might in the forest. All Might was many things: a great hero, the symbol of peace who beat back the darkness, but stealthy wasn't one of them. Well, I hoped that, as he muttered out loud, not noticing that someone was watching with an amused smile. Izuku was unsure if he can find him. He stops when hears a rocket sound coming from an unknown point. He suddenly becomes as he looks around, frantically searching for the source of the noise. Watch out! A shrieking scream is heard coming from behind him. Before he could react, his bag is caught by something. He's getting scraped into the ground before getting flung into the air while holding on to the arm of the unknown flyer. The flyer was wearing a white mechanical suit with a jetpack. The pilot was masked by a dome helmet with a rectangular blue visor while the mouth was visible. Izuku noticed that the pilot had a mad grin on his face, as if he was enjoying this. Who the hell is this guy? What are you doing? A voice catches his attention. Who was that? He looks, finally notices that the arm isn't an arm. He looks up and sees that arm he was holding on to was actually a leg. A leg? But who does this belong to? His thoughts when his eyes trail up and see something he never wished to see. He looks up in pink panties. He looks up further to see these belong to the disguised 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, who looks down at Izuku with a frightening glare. "Get," she says, cheeks red while trying to shake him off. "You pervert. Wait, if I let go I'll die. Do I look like I care? Let go. Pervert." But she ignores him and shakes harder than before. But she stops when the pilot spins around again in the air. Izuku tightens on her legs, much to the dismay of 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, who feels like she's being violated by this green-haired nerd. Both of them were flying around out of control. Izuku was screaming loudly as he can, so does 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨, but the pilot presses a button on the armor's arm which detaches the jetpack from the suit and activates a set of parachutes which stops it mid-air and floats safety to ground. Izuku is still holding on to the leg. His face looked drained of life. That entire ride was scary. He never been on anything this intense before and looks forward to taking a rest in bed. Izuku feels something chilling down his back. He looks up and sees 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨 is still glaring in disgust. Thinking Izuku is a pervert, she decides to get rid of him the only way she knows how. "Hey, pervert, I hope liked it, because that's going to be the last thing you ever do." Izuku panics. "Wait, I didn't 𝐴-." She kicks him in the face hard with her shoes, which knocks him off her leg. 𝐀𝐮𝐴 suddenly realized what she'd done. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴. Izuku was falling to the ground with terrifying speed, screaming loudly as he descends. He stares at the ground. To him it's coming slowly. "So this is how I die." He's about 15 seconds away from the surface. "Oh, it was fun while it lasted. I'm sorry I didn't complete my training All Might. I hope in the next life slap." But his thoughts were interrupted by someone slapping him in the face. And the next second he was floating 2 inches from a sharp stone near his nose. He couldn't believe it. He was still alive. But how is he's still alive? "Hey, are you okay? I didn't hit you too hard, right?" A feminine voice is heard by Izuku. He tries to turn his head to, however, said that but kept floating erratically in the air. Then he feels a hand grab his shoulder and twirls him up right facing the person. This person was the brown-haired girl. "Sorry I slap you like that," she says, smiling sheepishly while rubbing her head at him. The pilot of the suit and the former hero safely land on the ground. 𝐀𝐮𝐴 particularly looks at the kid she just kicked in the face with a surprised look. "Whoa, he lived, thank God." The brown girl looks unpleased with the disguised woman and walk right up to her face. "What were you thinking kicking him in the face like that up there? You could have killed him." 𝐀𝐮𝐴 getting very annoyed by this schoolgirl. "Hey, I didn't mean to do that, I just dash." But she was cut off by the schoolgirl. "I don't care if it was accidental, he could have died." "Well, he's fine now," 𝐀𝐮𝐴 says in an uncaring tone. The girl did not like that tone, so she points her finger at her. "Well, if he was fine, and why is he still shaking right there?" she says, pointing to a shaking Izuku. The girl then kneels down to him. "I think I didn't introduce myself. I'm 𝐒𝐮𝐴𝐵. Nice to meet you." She puts her hand out in a shaking hand gesture. The quirk inheritor was blushing so hard right now. 2 girls in one day. Seriously, how much can he take this? But his troubles were only just starting. The pilot of the giant suit's helmet suddenly flies off. They all turn and sees a girl with salmon pink hair with dreadlocks. She had goggles on her head and that still smiling grin. The 3 were dumbfounded. Izuku had red all over his face. Now he feels that he'll faint any second now. "Sorry about that. I think I made a mistake or 2 in the design in my baby," the girl says with a smile on her face. 3 tilts their heads in confusion. "Baby." They all say at the same time. "Yeah, baby number 34. She gestures to the armor. "I designed this to help future heroes to fly around easier. But I think it malfunctioned a bit. Oh well." 𝐀𝐮𝐴, who was trying to figure out what was going on now, said, "Your invention nearly killed us. I could have died. You're alive, aren't you?" Ochako giggles at this display, finding it funny, while 𝐀𝐮𝐴's face looked as if she was preparing to kill her. Izuku sees this and wanted to defuse the situation before it escalated. He opens his mouth to talk but couldn't find the words. He didn't know what to say. He never talked to this many girls before. They were all pretty and appealing. Izuku shakes his head, blushing. Why was he thinking about that in a moment like this? A soft, quiet, dripping sound of water echoes throughout the cold darkness of the cave, only visible thanks to a pool of a blue glowing fluid and crystals. The bats slept humbly as they hang from the ceiling with the glow worms they share the cave with. In the far corner was the moss that covered the rest of the cave, but there was something it was covering. It was hard to see what it was, but it looked like it was a pair of eyes in the wall covered in the moss. A giant head was encased in the walls of the cave. Only its head was visible. Its helmet had two pointed horns on each side of the helmet and there was no color to be seen, all of it was covered in dirt. The eyes seemed apparently empty and soulless with no signs of life in them, and it seems that it's been there for a long time. But suddenly the eyes glowed a mystical blue color that lit up the cave, causing the bats to fly away in panic, and the pool and crystals start to glow to a shining light. Izuku's necklace starts to glow brightly, blinding and surprising everyone. It flies right off Izuku's neck and hovers right above them. Izuku and everyone else stares at in disbelief. It gave off a holy feeling like you need to look at its brilliance. Bzzzzzzz. It starts giving electric cracks and a charging sound. Ochako look at it worried. What the? Get down. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 quickly tackles everyone to ground when it finishes charging and shoots a beam of energy at the rocky walls of the mountain, causing an explosion which frightens many birds and catches the attention of a couple hitchhikers who sees the dark cloud of smoke not too far away. The crystal drops right back into Izuku's hand and the group stare at him with shock while coughing from the dust. The pink-haired girl looks at him with a big grin. What was that? How did you do that? Izuku looks at it with curiosity. I don't know. Suddenly a swarm of bats appears from the smoke, causing them to hug the ground as they fly overhead. The smoke and bats finally clears as the wind is pushing the smoke away, showing a massive entrance in the mountain. The group is astonished by the hole. What the hell did they see? A tiny diamond managed to create a blast powerful enough to blow a massive hole in mountain. They see it leads somewhere. Driven by their newfound curiosity, they venture into the newly discovered cave. And what they found was shocking. The cave was filled with a glowing blue pool and large crystals of an unknown substance. The group were amazed by the beauty of the cave. How did such a place go undiscovered for years without anyone finding it? Izuku looks around the cave. He never seen such a place before. It was appealing. How did the country know? How did the world not discover this before? But the real deal breaker is what he saw in the corner. The huge giant covered in moss and dust, encased in its stone prison for untold years. It laid there motionless. The group stood there awestruck at the discovery they made. 𝐀𝐮𝐴 and 𝗧𝗏 had their mouths open wide and their eyes the size of dinner plates. What the hell was this thing? The pink-haired girl looks at the giant with a mixture of astonishment and excitement. She had made a scientific discovery of the century. She scanned the face. She knew it was incredibly advanced, too advanced for humans to make. She may not know where it came from or who made it, but one thing's for sure, she wasn't going to waste this opportunity to study such a magnificent specimen. But he, young hero wannabe, sees something else in this trapped giant. He didn't know what it was. Maybe it his love for heroes, or he's just fantasizing about things, but he could tell from the head alone it was important. It was strong and powerful, but most importantly it was more than meets the eye. 𝐒𝐮𝐿 Urban District, 62 Street. The 62th Street was a quiet little neighborhood. It didn't have a big hero presence or any bad villains in the area either, so in hindsight it was pretty normal. Located near a busy road, there was a small two-story building that had a red brick roof, gray concrete walls, and only a few windows located on each side of the building. It also had a small police sign on the top of the roof. This was the personal police station of Captain Hiroshi and his fellow officers. They were sitting comfortably in a small meeting room complete with a table and 5 chairs, 2 of which were already occupied by Koji and Sasaki. Sorry we're late, sir. We got caught up in a hero battle downtown. Seriously, did they have to fight in the middle of the street? We have somewhere to be, man. Take it somewhere else. 2 voices are heard coming from the door. 2 girls. One was a short, pale woman with a black afro wearing the standard police uniform with a skirt, and one was a muscled woman with shorts and had brown hair all over her arms and legs with a monkey tail on her waist. The short woman was Hana Akari and the girl with the monkey tail is Sakura Yui. They both sit down on the empty chairs and face their superior. Hiroshi puts both his hands on a wooden podium, and behind him was a projector sheet. He pulls out a tiny remote and points it at a projector positioned at the opposite side of the room behind the table. The projector shows a picture of the remains of Tartarus. Hiroshi looks back at his men and speaks to them in a calm manner. All right, everyone, here's today's report. We managed to retrieve the hard drive from our tip in Nagasaki. The short woman stands up with a grin. We finally got them. Monkey woman turns to the rest of her co-workers smiling. Don't you guys see, we finally got the means to expose them? She turns to the boys of the group expecting applause, but they didn't do that. Instead, they just sat there quietly with frowns. What's wrong? The captain presses a button that shows an image of the destroyed Tartarus. He looks at his men with a serious look on his face. We now have a new problem regarding the prison Tartarus. He presses another button to change the image showing a list of the casualties regarding Tartarus. They show a list of all the prison staff now confirmed dead. Sasaki and Kuji frowns, remembering the destruction they witnessed. Hana looks at her commanding officer with a look of concern. Do you have reason to show us this, sir? He walks past the podium and takes a seat on the chair. Yes, there is a reason. We received orders from the Hero Public Safety Commission are to block all city entry points and increase security around the city's limits while all pro-heroes maintain order and bring any prison for questioning, but they are false. Everyone raises their eyebrows in suspicion while Sasaki raises his hand. Yes, Sasaki. Sasaki gets up. Sir, I think we know why they're asking us to do all of that. And what is that? Hana asks, growing more concerned. Sasaki simply looks at them with a bored look. A highly dangerous prisoner got out, he says sarcastically. Everyone's eyes open wide with shock except Hiroshi. Sakura jumps up, slamming both her hands on the table. Hana falls out of her seat and Kuji chokes on a drink. What? How can you be so calm about this? Yeah, why are you two so relaxed about it? He simply pulls out a flash drive and puts it on the table and slides it to Hiroshi. The police captain picks it up, inspecting it more closely and thoroughly. He gets up from his seat to walk towards his computer, plugging in the flash drive. A file pops up on the computer screen. He clicks it, showing everyone a photo of a prison document. Most of the document's words were covered in redacted bars. It was impossible for them to read it. But what stood out the most was the name. There was no name, only inmates 656,698. There wasn't a picture or a birth certificate, just a number. Everyone becomes suspicious of this. Who was this? Some dangerous villain. The captain meanwhile looks at the document and his eyes bulge open with shock. Was this who he thinks it is? He doesn't say anything for 2 straight minutes but decides to break the silence by one thing and one thing only. It's you. Muzudafu Forest. The group were standing in the cave, awestruck. They couldn't believe it. Something like this should be in a fantasy book. This should be impossible, right? But here it is, a mysterious giant of unknown origins encased in the stone and moss of the cave. He thought he heard and seen everything, from All Might telling him the true nature of his quirk, which can be transferred to another host, to helping him to achieve his dream. But now here he is standing in front of a giant encased in a wall for hundreds or maybe thousands of years. Oh my God! The pink-haired girl exclaimed joyously. Everyone jumps. This has to be a dream. She runs across the pool, jumping from rock to rock until she lands right in front of the giant. She puts her hand on the rock wall, feeling the stone. Her eyes analyze the head more closely. Izuku panics. Hey, don't go near it. He clumsily jumps across the pool. He would have fell into one if not for the help of Uraraka, who floated across using her quirk. It might be dangerous. But his plea is ignored. Don't worry about anything, it's probably dead. The girl just continues inspecting the giant with her eyes. She wanted back near the entrance. A stunned Kana is glaring at the giant. She cautiously walks backwards with feelings of distrust. Her eyes wide when she sees something on his exposed right shoulder, a symbol of a stern robotic face that alone triggered a lot of, let's just say, unfavorable memories. Tartarus Prison B10, 500 meter below sea level. 2 days ago. Time 4:26 m. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. Lady Nagant jogs awake when the alarm suddenly kicks in, ringing throughout the halls with its continuous horn. She sees that her cell door was unlocked for some reason. That's strange. She wasted no time in getting up from floor and walks cautiously to the door, peering her head out to inspect the situation, and the situation was grim. Multiple dead guards lied dead on the floor, and it wasn't just guards either, it was prisoners as well. It seems that no one was no longer alive anymore. Everyone in her block was gone. No, wait. Pew pew. A body drops to floor with 2 burning holes in his chest. Standing over him was the purple drone spider, stalking the halls for anyone else who might take advantage of the chaos and try to escape. She pulls back before its searchlight sets on her door, nearly getting caught. Then she hears the drone clunking footsteps as it approaches the door. Kana holds her breath. She's cornered. There's nowhere to go now. As it closes nearer, her eyes shake a bit in anticipation, waiting for her death. But something happens. The drone stops. Kana raises her eyebrows in confusion. It was just moments away from discovering her. Why stop now? It turns around and speeds off, leaving her alone. She walks out of her cell, nearly tripping on a dead body. It was an unfortunate guard. What the hell is going? The security system isn't kicking and everyone is dead. What were those things? They're killing everyone here. She gets down on one knee. No ordinary villains could have access to that kind of tech. Whoever they are, they got powerful connections. She inspects the body more closely and she sees a security card designated Level 1. This wasn't some ordinary keycard. These were only given to the higher-ranking prison guards of the facility charged with important information and tasks such as controlling all blocks and levels and interrogating prisoners who might have valuable information. Coming across one of these must be her lucky day. She picks up the card and places it in her right pocket. She needed to find the elevator quickly and hopefully get out of here. A massive explosion rocks the building, causing 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 to lose her footing and fall to the ground. Suddenly water starts pouring and flooding the cells and hallway. She quickly gets back on her feet and starts running from the oncoming waves. Tartarus surface. B10 has been successfully flooded, Commander. An orange-colored humanoid giant says, watching a holographic image of the lower prison levels filling with water on a highly advanced tablet. The holographic screen now shows a live feed of sleek black and purple giants vaporizing guards and prisoners with their advanced laser weaponry. And the 𝐂𝐿𝐴cons have exterminated the remaining prisoner and staff as you instructed, and the drones have cleared all the floors and are returning to base through the space bridge. Slipstream smiles. Good Sunstorm, for once you've done something right. Thanks sir, I mean ma'am. Sir. Commander, you should see this. A 𝐂𝐿Acon trooper on the security cameras. Says Slipstream walks over to him. This better be good, she says, frustrated. She looks into the camera footage with an unimpressed look. And what she saw immediately made her red eyes glow with rage. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 was on the screen running from the waters frantically. One prisoner managed to survive being killed in their attack. This couldn't stand. She turns to Sunstorm with a fiery glare. How did you miss one inmate, Sunstorm? Sunstorm flinches. I'm sorry ma'am, I didn't dash. Silence. She yells furiously, shutting him up, and turns to Nova Storm. Reactivate all security turrets that are still working from Block 9 to the surface and send the drones back down there. Make sure she doesn't make it out. But ma'am, there are only a few turrets still remaining and all drones have been called back to base. Well, use any drones from the prison. Her voice rings with impatient fury. Yes sir. She salutes her superior and runs off, leaving her superior alone with their orange subordinate. Sunstorm nervously looks to Slipstream. So what can I do? She quickly turns to him with an angry look and speaks to him in a threatening tone. You'll head back to base and face punishment for your failure before I have you melted down for scrap. Yes sir. He salutes and leaves Slipstream alone. She stares back at the screen in anger, watching 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 trying to escape. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 was running as fast as she could from the waves flooding the halls. She jumps over bodies and broken debris, doing her best to avoid them as much as possible before she gets crushed under weight of the water. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 quickly managed to reach the fire escape in time. She takes cover by hugging the wall before the water crashes through the door, making a water fall down. She knew she didn't have much time before the entire level is flooded with her in it, so without wasting any more time she runs up the stairs. Nova Storm smiles as she sees 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 approaches the door leading to block. Her fingers hovers above a holographic image showing the location of all the security turrets in the facility and a button that says confirm. Bye-bye. She smiles wickedly and presses it. And the screen shows the turrets turning back online all over the levels, with some still red indicating they are offline. And it wasn't just them. One drone was operational and was heading over to 𝐀𝐮𝐴's position right now. 𝐀𝐮 sees B9 just a few more steps ahead and climbs frantically to it, but someone has other plans. A hatch opens up from the wall, revealing a hidden turret, surprising 𝐀𝐮𝐴 as it turns its barrel on her. 𝐀𝐮𝐴 barely had any time to dodge as a flow of bullets ring past over her head. Bang bang bang. She quickly ducks behind a concrete pillar to use as cover from the hail of bullets. Her right arm folds back and her elbow transforms into a barrel. She reaches for a single strand of her hair and pulls it. Then she uses her fingers to mold it into a makeshift bullet and puts into a hole in her right hand. Quickly she peers out of cover and shoots at her bullet, destroying the turret, causing it to explode with sizzling sparks coming out of it. Nova Storm's jaw dropped to the floor. How the frag did she do that? Her arm transformed into a gun like how a Cybertronian would do. She turns to her commander. Is this one of those quirks we've read about? Slipstream doesn't look at her. Just find out who she is. Nova Storm starts scanning the prison system for any recognition database that can recognize this mysterious prisoner. Her optics wide. "Ma'am, I found out who she is." Slipstream looks over her shoulder to see. Her name is 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 aka Lady Nagant. She was a former professional hero who was regarded as the best marksman hero in Japan. She was envied and admired by heroes around the country for her precise shots. But why is she in prison? The commander asks curiously. Surely there would be some explanation for that. Nova Storm scrolls down the page and finds her prison record. She was incarcerated by order of the Hero Public Safety Commission for killing a pro-hero in an argument. That's very suspicious. She studied the hero's laws for weeks to better understand her soon-to-be enemies so she could combat them more effectively. Most of them were heroic nonsense such as rescuing and protecting bystanders, looking good, and inspire more to become more stupidly naive heroes. She mentally gagged at the thought. Boring in her opinion. If you ask her why protect when you can destroy. But thanks to her training back home, she knew something was up and it could be useful, but for the time being she needed to wrap it up here. When we get back to base, I want you to investigate her past for anything useful that could benefit the Decepticon cause. But for now, go help the others secure the objective. I'm sure that the drones will deal with her. Nova Storm salutes her superior. Yes, sir. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 was ducking and dodging left and right, trying to avoid them as much she could, but there was too many of them. The drones fired their advanced laser weaponry at her in an unrelenting assault. While she did manage to do away with a small group of them, she knew it wouldn't be enough. They kept on coming back. She knew in a matter of minutes she'll be overrun. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 needed to get out of here before the water pressure rises and suffocates her inside. She sees a small infirmary across the hall from her spot. She lowly creeps to the ground while making her way to the infirmary door and opens it, only to find the infirmary empty with everything inside. Trash tables turned over, lights flickering on, and the staff were dead like everyone else. She felt no sympathy for the dead staff, so she just to ignore them. She had her priorities she needed to get out of her. She walks around the room looking for anything that could help her. After a while she sees something through a hole in the closet door. She opens the door to see what's inside. It was a green and silver oxygen tank just sitting there, and from the looks of it, it was undamaged. There are also ropes wrapped around a hook on the wall and a box containing an emergency BLD bag. An idea comes to her head. She peers her head out of the door and sees the elevator doors were blown through, so she grabs the oxygen tank and the ropes. She quickly puts the BLD bag in her left pocket and grabbed the oxygen and placed it in a bag. Then she wraps the rope around her torso. After that was done, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 heads to the edge of the elevator and sees a steel wire attached to the top of a damaged elevator. It looked like it was going to fall into the hole below. There were smaller holes in it. Sparks of electricity seeped from the exposed wires dangling from elevator. She had a plan. It was a risky plan, but it was the only one she had. 𝐀𝐮𝐴 carefully places a foot on the surface of the elevator. It shakes a bit, making creaking noises. She cautiously walks to the wire. With each step she hears the creaking metal under her feet. It wasn't better that she was carrying an oxygen tank. The added weight made it even more dangerous. The entire thing could break and fall down into the flooded with her on it, so she made carefully calculated steps to the wire. Each step was the difference between life and death. Suddenly the building shakes violently, making her drop the oxygen tank bag. It slides all the way to the side, nearing the edge. 𝐀𝐮𝐴 lunges towards it in a frantic manner, trying to grab it. It slides just right on the edge. It looked like it could fall off any second now, but just before it could fall right off, 𝐀𝐮𝐴 managed to grab the nozzle of the tank before it could fall right into the hole while holding on to a bar tightly. While she was holding it, she sees that the water below was rising quickly than she anticipated. She needed to get out of here now. 𝐀𝐮𝐴 pulls the heavy oxygen tank back onto elevator, breathing heavily. After doing that, she walks back to the cable and grabs it, holding it tightly as she prepares to do something that could most definitely get her killed. 𝐀𝐮𝐴's right arm morphed into the gun and aimed right at the bottom half of the cable holding the elevator up and shoots it. The former hero is pulled upwards as the rest of the elevator falls into the water, making a big splash. 𝐀𝐮𝐴 tries to hold on with every bit of strength she had, but found it hard to hold on to the steel cable as it pulls her to the ceiling at rapid speed. She quickly swings back and forward repeatedly on the cable to build a bit momentum. When she saw her destination, with one last swing she lets go, letting the force of air carry her to her destination. With maximum effort she perfectly glides in the air and lands on 2 of her feet, but losing her balance after landing, she's about 2 inches from falling into the But something reaches out for her hand and throws her out into the prison corridor, causing her to roll uncontrollably across the cold concrete floor and making her loose the oxygen tank before finally slowing down and stopping right there. She shakes her head a couple of times before looking around to see where the container went. She sees it rolled into an abandoned cell. That's good at least. Bjorn. She turns her head to see where it was coming from. And she was shocked by what standed in front of her. It was a speedy-looking robot armed with 2 large claws, 2 arm-mounted machine guns, and 1 huge wheel as its mode of transportation. It also had 1 circular eye which glowed red with hostile intent. This was a modified version of the villain bots that UA uses for their entrance exam. It was built to intercept any villains with speed quirks if anyone tried to escape across the bridge, and eliminate them if necessary, and now it's hunting her. Its circular eye zooms on her and says in a emotionless robotic voice, "Target acquired, long live the Decepticons, all hail Megatron." The killer robot swung its arm forward, aiming at her with the rotating gun, preparing to fire. She dives out of its way as it fires. Its machine gun opens fire, letting a golden stream of bullets fill the hallways. She hides behind another stone pillar as bullets start hammering her position. The machine's chest opens up, revealing a blank screen that turns on, showing a symbol unrecognizable to her. It was a red face that looked stern. "Eliminate all prisoners and destroy the Autobots." Who the hell are they? Some new hero agency that just opened up, and is that their insignia? As the security bot continues its relentless assault, the impact of the bullets starts shaking the foundation, causing the light panels from the ceiling to loosen and fall right on top of its head, causing it to lose its balance and fall flat on its face. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 watches it struggle for a minute. It was really fixated on its objective to destroy her. She can give that. Seizing this opportunity, she pulls out the BLD bag and tossed it at the machine's eye as it turns its head back towards her, making it swing its arms, erratically firing shots everywhere, putting bullet holes in every single thing in the hall. Now that it is blinded by the BLD, she runs up the arm of the robot and jumps on top of its head and launches herself into the cell. The cell door suddenly slams shut after she lands in the room, locking automatically. She looks at the door and hears the robot banging its body against the steel door. She looks around and thinks to herself, "Good, that means it still works." Warning: purge protocol activated. Suddenly water starts bursting through the wall from holes in the ceiling, flooding the cell very fast, which already reached her knees. Acting quickly, she worked to wrap the ropes around the bottom of the container as the water reaches to waist. Then, after tying the ropes to the oxygen tank, she looks at the wall and sees cracks in them that were leaking small streams of sea water from it. She raises her right arm at cracks and takes 1 deep breath before transforming it into the gun. She aims it at the cracks while grabbing more strands of her hair and molds the hairs into a more hardened bullet and loads it into the chamber. Now she takes 1 last deep breath, clenching her fist, and aims her arm gun at the leaking cracks and fires her bullet, causing it fly from its barrel and collide with the wall. The cracks start to become bigger and bigger, and when the cracks stops, the wall collapses, causing a mixture of rocks and water to collapse the room in seawater. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 is pulled from the cell and into the ocean, swinging aimlessly in the water. She regains her bearings but is pulled down by the container. She descends towards the darkness of the ocean, bringing ever closer to the dangerous pressures of the ocean. The sounds of loud, clanking mechanical gears turning can be heard by the former hero. She turns around and sees the giant underwater guns had her targeted. She quickly twirls the oxygen upside down, its nozzle facing down, and twists the lever with her shoe, and the container shot right through the water and out of the way of the cannons. They fire stray rounds at her, but with the oxygen tank she narrowly avoids them by flying in a zigzag pattern through the water. This continues for a while, dodging projectiles left and right, trying every to steer the makeshift rocket to the surface, but just as she reaching the surface she starts slowing down. Just she looks back at the gauge and sees its arrow pointing at empty. She was nowhere near from the surface when she stopped completely. She was losing air quickly and the guns were reconcentrating their aim on her. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 prepares for her seemingly last minute before losing her breath and suffocating, but Faith has other plans. And massive explosions suddenly erupted, sending a powerful shockwave that sends her flying through the water, her screaming muffled by the sea. Hey you there. Hello. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 in instinct quickly grabs the person by the neck and tackles her into the ground. She sees that it's a young woman with fawn-colored long hair, large dark brown eyes, and a curvaceous body. She wore jeans, a colorful shirt, and a black glasses. Also, she had a phone in her left arm. Izuku quickly runs to 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, grabbing her shoulder. Hey, let her go, you're hurting her. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 thinks for a moment before reluctantly letting go of the gyro. The girl begins gasping for air. Why did you do that? I was just checking out voices we heard in the cave. The two of them become confused. A feminine voice says behind them. The two of them jumps at the sound of that voice. They both turn their head to see the person they see, a fair-skinned girl with average height, big blue eyes, periwinkle hair that reached to her knees. Her outfit was a pink shirt with the brown vest, blue jeans with a black belt strap around the waist, and she wore white and black shoe-lace joggers. Why are you being so jumpy? I just wanted to know about an explosion a while ago. Izuku's eyes wide a bit. You saw that? The fawn-colored haired girl steps in. I think introductions are in order. I am 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 to meet ya. Izuku's cheeks flush with red. He stutters, Izuku midoriya. The pink-haired girl steps up with a happy grin. Here I go, I'm 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. You? She says, pointing to the periwinkle-haired girl. She smiles. I'm 𝐻𝐼𝐴𝐻𝐴𝐷, so what did you find here? She points to the giant head in the wall. Did one of you open this cave with one of your quirks? She points to the disguised 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. Why is your head green? Are you this guy's mom? She points to Izuku. She looks at the girl named 𝐻𝐼𝐴𝐻𝐴 with an annoyed look. No, I dash. Sadly, it fell on deaf ears as she turns to Izuku. Or is she your sister? 𝐀𝐮𝐴𝐻𝐴 becomes even more frustrated while Izuku blushes hard. Well, what do you mean she ain't my sister if that is what you are thinking? Yes, that's it. I only meet her just moments. I never seen her in my life, and if I did I would stay away from because she seems like she can handle herself here, and of course let dash. But he's interrupted by 𝐀𝐮𝐴𝐻𝐴. Perv, do you talk this much? He turns his head away in embarrassment while 𝐀𝐮𝐴𝐻𝐴 just gives him an annoyed look. Cammy meanwhile looks at them with a sly look, more specifically Izuku. She smiles. So, ever been around this many cute girls before? She says seductively. Izuku turns away from her, blushing even more. What, nervous? She moves closely, still smiling. Izuku tries to look the other way, but she jumps in the way of his direction. He turns away, scaring him. Everyone giggles at this scene, finding it funny. While that was happening, Mei was still inspecting the giant with a mixture excitement and awe. She gets down on one knee and opens her bag and pulls out a scope-like device and points it at the giant. It begins scanning it from top to bottom, to every detail. She wouldn't leave no stone unturned until she finds out what this thing was and where it came. As she scans the head, her device beeps loudly, making Mei discovers something that makes her gasp in shock and fall backwards onto her behind. The others sees this and rush to her side. Are you okay? 𝐻𝐼𝐴𝐻𝐴 says, making sure she didn't have injuries. Izuku lowers himself down to her level. Seeing the device, he picks it up, inspecting it more closely. Foreign technology detected. Izuku eyebrows raises in confusion. What is this, Mei? Mei was unresponsive. She was too bewildered to talk. They shook her a little bit, but that was it. But as the group prepares talk to, she quickly gets up, staring at the group with a growing grin. Guys, I think he's not human. The sounds of birds can be heard chirping throughout the forest as butterflies drank nectar from flowers, and to deer eating humbly. Everything seemed peaceful. But something can be seen rustling the bushes. Its shadowy appearance approaches a hill overlooking the entrance, staring at it coldly. What do you mean? Not human? 𝐻𝐼𝐴𝐻𝐴 confused at what she said as much as everyone in the room. What was the weird girl saying? How can it be alive? Mei walks slowly to the encased giant, looking at it with amazement. She turns back to the group and screams in excitement, surprising the group. We made the discovery of history. She screams loudly, dancing happily around the group before hugging the green-haired boy, making him more incredibly embarrassed. Izuku wanted to leave but found it hard to do that. 𝐀𝐮𝐴𝐻𝐴 hears something strange coming from outside the cave. She cautiously approaches the entrance to see what it was. But suddenly a metal-clawed hand reaches out from the entrance and swiped at her. She dodges it by back-flipping away from it and lands on both her feet. Everyone jumps up at the sudden scene and quickly turn their heads to the cave's entrance. To everyone's surprise, and especially to Lady Nagant's, it was the prison robot, but with its circuits visibly damaged and wires pointing out. Its entire body was covered in soot and its two arm-mounted cannons seemed damaged as well, and its eye looked cracked. She couldn't believe it survived the explosion. How did it make out, and more importantly, how did it track her down? The rest of girls and Izuku meanwhile are shocked to see a prison security bot still operational. What is it doing way out here? It looks around at everyone in the cave and starts targeting them one by one. Target locked, multiple prisoners detected, prepare to eliminated. That didn't sound good. It lunges at the group with its claws out and takes a swing at them. Everyone starts panics while 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 jumps out of its way as it crashes into a wall, cracking it. Izuku was frozen in fear, unable to move a muscle. 1 minute everything was fine until this giant robot came out of nowhere and started wrecking the place. What the hell is going on? The robot turns its cold gaze to him. The young inheritor flinches. It had spotted him. It had him cornered, posed for the kill. The out-of-control machine activates its still-functioning rocket booster on its back and charges at the scared boy with lethal intent and leaving trail of fire as it charges. He stood there as still as stone, unable to move an inch. Someone quickly tackles him out of its way, making it miss them, and crashes into the wall hard. Izuku's mysterious necklace falls off his neck and lands right on the foot of mysterious giant encased in stone. Izuku's eyes start to adjust to see who tackled him. To his surprise, it was 𝐻𝐿𝐴𝐶 standing over him. His cheeks become red again when he was in full view of her chest. "Are you okay?" 𝐻𝐿𝐴𝐶 says, concerned for his health. Izuku nods slowly. She breathes in relief now, knowing he's fine. The machine is suddenly hit by a swirling beam of energy that knocks it into a stalactite. Everyone sees 𝐻𝐿𝐴𝐶 had both hands out in offensive pose. "Don't worry guys, I'm a UA upperclassman and hero in training, I got this." She uses both her hands to propel into the air and attack the robot from above using her spiraling beams of energy. Izuku quickly sees this and starts thinking to herself, her quirk seems allows her to float in the air and use powerful bursts of energy. Perfect accuracy. She seems to be able to damage that robot. But as long as she stays in this cave, her advantage is slowly diminishing. But what everyone doesn't notice is that the crystal is glowing again with its heavenly light. But it isn't just that anymore. The Titan's eyes start to glow as well. Then the necklace flies straight into the neck of Giant's neck, causing a massive surge through its veins, leaving trail of light. 𝐻𝐿𝐴𝐶 meanwhile is having a hard time trying to fight this mechanical menace. It trips on a boulder behind it and falls right on its back. She sees her chance, aiming both her hands at the robot, preparing to launch a devastating attack. "Alright, Tin can prepare ROB scrap metal." She releases a powerful energy blast, launching the robot against the walls, causing rocks to fall from the ceiling, making everyone scramble for safety, trying their best to avoid the falling stalactites. "Whoops, sorry," she says, apologizing to the group. The giant's eyes glow once again, and so does every part of its body. The dirted and rusted part become a bright red and blue color scheme, and the chest begins glowing as well, showing its futuristic look. Darkness. That was all he could see, pitch black. No, wait, there's something in the distance. Was that light? Something was coming, and it's getting very closer. Then a flash of light engulfs him. Energy starts flowing throughout his body, sending a sensation of relief and warmth. He started feeling his body move again. And a digital display appears, showing him everything in his mind. Wanted dead or alive by Emperor Me. Rebooting energon reserves. Activating optical sensors, the room suddenly appears before his eyes, seeing 𝐻𝐿𝐴𝐶 still fighting the robot. She launched volley after volley, trying her best to hit the machine and not collapse the cave in process. Energon reserves at 58%. Restarting memory core in. Many mechanical humanoid figures of many different shapes and sizes start running from a falling building on fire in a city of unknown design. He stands there watching it impact on the ground, creating smoke cloud that brushes over him, covering him and the area around him in it. Restarting power to limbs, the scene changes. He's standing on a rooftop carrying a gun of some kind and sees that the skies lit up with fire, and the sound of gunfire filled the air as purple alien aircraft fly overhead, dropping bombs and soldiers firing their weapons into the fray below. He aims his weapon at the sky in anticipation of the jet charging at him and fires it while it also starts firing at him. Restarting weapon systems, 2 alien cars drive alongside home, charging through a vicious war zone as enemy fire rain down on them. One gets shot in the wheel, and while another gets jumped on and rolls off course, but suddenly 2 large legs appear in front of him and hit him with an purple spiked mace that launches him off his wheels. He wakes back up to sees that 𝐻𝐿𝐴𝐶 is losing the fight against the robot. She's having a hard time fighting it, and he see why. The cave may be big but not big enough to allow her to fight properly. He can tell she wasn't trained to fight in this particular environment. He carefully observes his surroundings, and he sees that 5 organic life forms are pinned down by the rocks. He doesn't know species, but they look like his race, but smaller. Are they some subspecies of his? And where did he land? They watch helplessly as 𝐻𝐿𝐴 is thrown against a wall and is held up by its hand on her throat. The starts shouting what bravery he could muster, "Stop it, you're hurting her." But the machine doesn't seem to care. It raises its razor-sharp claw in a threatening manner, preparing to end her life first before moving to the others. This didn't sit well with him. So using what strength he has left, he tore his right arm out of the wall, and in the moment it transforms into a large circular cannon and aims it at the machine's back. And just before it could kill 𝐻𝐿𝐴 with its claws, a large gaping hole is burnt from its back to its chest, leaving a trace heated metal around the hole. Its red circular eye blinks a few times before dying out and dropping 𝐻𝐿𝐴 and finally collapsing to the floor. Everyone stares at the giant in disbelief. It just saved 𝐻𝐿𝐴's life and took out the machine in one shot. How did he do that, and why did he wait so long to do it? Izuku had many questions in his head. Could he ask their mysterious savior, but he was trapped under a rock, so all he could ask him was one simple word. "For you." In a fit of strength, he tears his left arm out of wall before doing the same with both his right foot and left foot. Once that was done, he walks towards the group and stands right in front of them, looking down at them. He gets down on both of his knees and spoke to them in a strong but reassuring voice. "I am Optimus Prime, the cave." This entire thing was strange to say the least. First, he's attacked by a Tartarus security robot, and second, he's saved by a giant armored figure that was sleeping in a cave for who knows how long. This Optimus Prime person was kind enough to pull the rocks off of them and help them up, but Izuku still wanted some answers. Everyone was taking a break after the fight with the out-of-control killer robot, but they were still shaken by what happened, and they were still stunned by the giant sitting over them. Optimus sees that the girl with pink hair started walking towards him with a look of great curiosity. "So what are you exactly? Your eyes seem human enough, but your body isn't, and where are you from?" she says with a grin. His face plate opens up to reveal his entire face for everyone to see, and what saw shocked them. His face was a middle-aged Caucasian man with a small beard and mustache. His helmet folded back into his body, revealing his blue and red hair. "I am an autonomous robotic organism from the planet Cybertron. And the reason my race is identical to yours may be because of our biology. It's comprised of a special techno-organic metal that can be shaped into anything we can imagine." "Wait, you're an alien?" Izuku quickly exclaims. "Correct," he nods. Everyone around him become even more shocked. Mei suddenly started to jump around, yelling joyously very loudly. She was so loud that even the birds outside could hear her. 𝐻𝐿𝐴 and Cammy covers their ears, while 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 just becomes more frustrated with Mei. All she wanted to do was to shut her up hard, but didn't want to attract unwanted attention from the group, so she decides to hold in her anger for as long as possible. "Excuse me, could you please quiet down a bit?" 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 says in the calmest voice she could muster. Mei stops jumping and looks back at 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. "I'm sorry. I never thought in my life I'd ever be able to meet real aliens for the first time. This is the best day of my life." She yells out happily. "I know I'm excited as well, but keep it down." "Well, maybe but I just hope I can get my hands on some alien technology. One could invent the most advanced support gear in the world." Optimus Prime smiles a bit. "You know, you remind me of a friend of mine." Mei spun back around to him. "Really?" "Yes, young one, he is one of the most talented engineers on Cybertron. His inventions saved me and my comrades countless times," he says with happiness, but it quickly becomes a look of concern. "But his inventions can get a little destructive." But Mei just shrugs it off. "I'm sure it's not that bad." He looks at her with growing suspense but hides it behind concerned smile. "You have no idea," he quietly mutters. Izuku begins to absorb all this new information coming to him. Extraterrestrials exists, and one is standing in front of him. Many questions start floating in his head. Was there more life out there? How did he get here? Why was he here, and how did he get encased in that wall? Optimus Prime sees the look on Izuku's face. "Is something on your mind, young man?" Izuku jumps at sound of his voice. "What? No. Yes. No, it's okay, I'm not going to hurt you, I'm just curious, that's all," he kindly says in a caring tone. Izuku stares at him with wide eyes. He was tall and intimidating. But yet his voice seemed so wise and friendly. He didn't know what it was, but something told him he wasn't a threat, so he decides to introduce himself. "I'm Izuku midoriya." Optimus smiled at him and turns to the rest of the group. "And may I ask who the rest of you are?" Ochako is the first to answer. "I'm Ochako Uraraka, sir." I'm 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. May hatsome nice to meet you, Mr. Optimus, sir. But 𝐀𝐮 stays silent for a moment, thinking of her response. She didn't want to tell them her real name in case one of them, more importantly the UA student, recognizes her and report her to the authorities. She needed to buy herself some time until she can figure out a way to escape and disappear from the world. So she gives him answer, Kira Takara. Optimus nods, but he could sense that she was lying about her identity. He wanted to ask why she was lying about her name, but he wanted the full story, so he'll wait until then. Izuku puts his hand up. Optimus, sir. He turns to him. Izuku points his hand at the glowing blue liquid that surrounded them. What is this stuff? Exactly. This, he points his mechanical hand at the pool, is Energon, the life BLD of Cybertronian life. Everyone stares at the pool in amazement now. They just heard the craziest thing of today. What does it power exactly? Cammy wondering. Optimus sits down, crossing both his legs. Everything: our fuel, our weapons, our technology, and our bodies. Every stares in amazement. One blue liquid can power entire race. That was amazing. 𝐻𝐿 activates her quirk and floats to Optimus's face. The sight of her floating causes him to stumble back in shock, hitting his head on the wall, causing a few stalactites to fall. Everyone covers their head in defense against the rocks. Sorry, Mr. Optimus, didn't think you'd know what a quirk was. She rubs her head sheepishly. Optimus bobs his to the side in confusion. Quirks? Like parts of a personality? Not like that, sir. On our planet, 80% of the world's population has these supernatural abilities called quirks. They give our people the ability to do all sort of things: breath fire, punch through rock, lift things 10 times our sizes, control the elements, create anything from matter, turn our skin into armor, and dash. Izuku begins to ramble on about every quirk he saw. It started to spook the group. They never seen anyone talk this long before. This goes on for a few minutes longer before Ochako placed her hands on his shoulders, causing him to squirm under touch. I think he got the idea, Izu, Ochako says, a bit disturbed. Optimus begins to ponder this new information for a minute before answering back. This sounds like our abilities, but more diverse than outliers. Your abilities? Uraraka says, confused. Outliers, Izuku says, also confused. What are they? A story for another time. He proceeds to access a built-in device in his arm. It beeps red, saying, radar damaged. Until I can find my autobots, my existence must be kept a secret. Kaina's eyes wide. She heard that name before, back at Tartarus before it was sunken. Was he a part of them? Autobots. Cammy rubs her neck, confused. Optimus turns to her. The name of my team, the Autobots. What are the Autobots? Izuku asks, wanting to know more. We're a military faction that protects Cybertron. Okay, but still, why keep yourself secret? I'm sure our government will keep you safe, Ochako says with a cheerful smile on her face. Kaina scowls. Yeah, more like dissect him and melt him down for parts. She mentally scoffs. Maybe. But the rest of your species might not like having an off-worlder on their planet, especially a mechanical one. They might get the wrong idea and panic. It's best if no one other than yourselves know of my existence, Optimus says with a look of slight edge in the eyes. When you put it like that, it might be for the best. 𝐻𝐿 starting to understand the importance of keeping him a secret. If people found out that aliens exist, it'll cause chaos. They've barely got through the chaos when quirks first appeared. If they discover Prime, they will attack him out of fear and kill him. Yeah, they might dissect you or something, Cammy said with a looking at Optimus concerned. Okay, it might be bad if you're discovered. Ochako rubs her head sheepishly. May puts her right hand on her chin in thought. Idea finally pops in her head. She raises her hand. I know a place. Everyone importantly turns to her. Izuku is the first to speak. Where exactly? Sheepishly saying. May uses her shoes to boost herself up on top of a rock. On the other side of town there's a abandoned military bunker. They perk their heads up. A abandoned military bunker. They thought they were myths. And how are we going to get him there? He's not exactly small brat and it's daylight. There's no way we can get him there without being noticed. Kaina says. Optimus begins to smile. An idea forms in his head. I think I know how to get there unnoticed. Everyone raises their eyebrows. How? Izuku asks curiously. I'll tell you when I have the chance, but hurry. He gestures his hand to follow him as he begins to crawl his way out of the cave. Everyone follows after him while the Izuku stands there and wonders to himself about Optimus. Comrades, meaning there might be more than one Transformer out there, begins to think if Optimus Prime is here, where's his Autobots? And he still didn't explain why he's here and how. He looks at the ceiling wondering to himself, are they out there and where are they? The moon. The moon. A giant rock that has been in sky for as long as anyone could remember. It shines so beautifully it could be considered a glowing pearl in the darkness. 90% of its surface is covered in huge holes caused by meteor impacts on it, and everywhere you look there was only moon dust and rocks in every corner. But after a relatively short time of peace and silence, the ground starts to rumble, rocks begin to shake, sand start to shift, and the ground begins to crack. Suddenly out of nowhere a giant wheel appears and crushes the rocks under its weight, thundering onward relentlessly. It was a green and purple Caterpillar 789, a bulldozer and a boom truck with a crane that wore a sinister symbol on their sides, driving fast past craters and dunes. The dump track was carrying rocks of some kind while the crane and bulldozer carried nothing. They drove towards a massive Luna crater large enough to fit an entire city and two giant boulders that sat on the edge of the crater, forming a wall on outside of the huge hole. As they drove near, the two rocks begin to split, opening wide, which reveals a large sliver door that had the same sinister-looking insignia that they had. The door also begins opening up, revealing a dark, narrow tunnel that's illuminated with purple light. The tunnel's architecture was a dark purple surrounding the layout. The three vehicles drive into the tunnel. As the two doors behind them close, they keep driving for a moment until they arrive at the tunnel's exit, and something begins to unravel about their location. While on the outside it may seem like an ordinary empty crater, but the closer you got it, the closer it explains that this wasn't a deserted crater. The inside contains a hidden fortress camouflaged by an invisible dome. In the middle lies a colossal dark black ship with pointy jagged bits all over, purple lights and blade-like wings with spikes. It had yellow glass windows on the port and starboard sides and a landing platform on the deck. The ship seems grounded from the looks of it, with damage visible to the outside hull with sparking lights signifying that it's being repaired. Surrounding it were buildings of unique purple design, and it was heavily militarized, having weapon emplacements on every building you could see, as well as the occasional insignia. But 6 gigantic cannons surrounding the perimeter stood out the most. They were large purple weapons that sat in a circular defensive formation around the base. And the base wasn't empty. An army of giants patrolled the city 24/7. They manned every position in the fortress, from small turrets on roofs to large towers, reading radio channels coming from Earth to news feeds, media, secret messages by criminals, texts, and public and classified data. The green construction vehicles drove to a checkpoint blocking the path to the ship, and it looked closed by barriers on the road and a gate made of energy. One guard sees them coming and uses his hand to signal another guard in a small building on side of the road to open the gate. The guard does exactly that, pressing a button that makes the barriers fold back into the ground and the gate to power down. The guard salutes them as they drive past the checkpoint. "Hail, Decepticons," he shouts while saluting them before they drive away. The 3 construction vehicles drive past 4-legged drones carrying supplies and several workers. They had an entirely purple design wheels on their shoulders and feet. Their helmets had a red T-shaped visor on it. They're seen working HRD on the ship's repairs and directing the drones. It was a massive repair operation. They seize all of this and are amazed by all of it, but they stop when they see 2 troopers sitting comfortably around a makeshift table. They were busy guzzling the blue energon and having a conversation. "Dear Primus, this moon is boring. When are we going to get some action?" Guard 1 says, "Really bored." "Oh, shut up, scraphead. We were only asleep a while ago," Guard 2 says, annoyed. "We were on this moon for 80 million years and been awake for 2 orbital cycles on this dust ball, angered at being stuck this desolate rock." Guard 2 just rolls his eyes. "Well, just keep whining and maybe it might come true," sarcastically saying. "Well, maybe you should stop talking and get back to work." A new voice, this one was full of rage. Suddenly the table is crushed by a fist. They were shocked by what happened and they turn to who did make him apologize, but stop when they realize who it was. He was green and purple armored man with a green construction hat with a red visor. The armor had the construction vehicle parts on his body, wheels as his shoulders and leg, and a payloader shovel on his back, and he looked very angry. "Captain Scrapper," the first guard gulps in fear. They both quickly stand in attention and salute him while shaking in fear. "Sorry, sir, we were only taking a small break." He tries to reason with him, but the green armored giant just grabs him by the neck. "I don't care, return to your post now." They both scramble out of there with post-haste. Scrapper turns to and sees the three construction. He smiles and walks to them. Long haul, bone crusher. Hook did retrieve the materials I requested. The bulldozer and boom truck transforms into their true forms. Mobile crane transforms into woman with black hair with green strands, and the bulldozer transforms into a man. The man had a scar across his left eye while the girl had none. They both had the same colored armor but with different designs. The girl had the crane attached to her back and both wore the same green construction hats as their leader wore. Yeah. But why does Mixmaster need this pile rocks for anyway? Bone Crusher picks one of the rocks up from the dump truck. Yeah, why did I have get my all dirty, she says while rubbing her back carefully. The leader just sighs and says, I'll tell you when we get to Mixmaster. He and Scavenger are in the lab. Come on. He turns to the dump truck as a large cart with weird technology that allows it to hover above the surface. The truck lowers the bucket on its back, dumping all the rocks into the hovering cart. It proceeds to transform into a hulking figure. His armor has the same color as the rest of group, 2 wheels on his shoulders and 2 each on his thighs, with the dump truck's parts all over his body and a green construction hat. His name was Long Haul, a bot with great strength and a strong fighting resolve. Let's get this over with. He stretches out his body, trying to get the dust out of his joints before following his leader. They walk towards a large door on the starboard side of the ship. The door opens and they enter. The hallways had black steel walls with a purple dim light shining through the halls, and several guards walked its halls having conversations as they go their way. Soldiers salute them as they passed by. After several minutes of walking they reach their destination. They open the door to see the room. It had all the science equipment you could ask for: jars containing weird specimens, tools, vials of chemicals, and holographic screens. This was the ship's on-board lab. They look around the lab, seeing all the weird stuff. They turn their heads towards 2 figures working on a nearby table. They see a cement truck drum attached to the back of one of the figures and another smaller figure, Digger Claw, pointing out of his tailbone. The older figure had a beard and looked like a earth worker, while the younger figure was a teenager. He had black hair with bits of green strands and had a red visor. Both individuals had the same construction hats as everyone else had. The younger one sees the group behind them and taps other one's shoulder. They both smile. Guys, you made it back. Did you get that thing I wanted? Mixmaster says to Scrapper, happily embracing him in a hug. Did you retrieve the 𝐻𝐿UM-3? A deep electronic voice asks at the door. There was a blue armored individual with a red visor on his helmet, 2 shoulder-mounted speakers attached to his shoulders, and a large circular missile launcher. His chest was a black glass which had the same symbol everyone else had, and was followed by not only Ravage and Frenzy but 2 more people. One was a copy of Frenzy but with a few differences. While Frenzy was black and red, this other was blue and was armed with 2 massive pile drivers on his arms. Next was a black and silver bird with 2 guns attached to its back. These 2 were Rumble and Laserbeak. Rumble was a loud-mouth brawler and Laserbeak was a stealthy spy drone. The leader was Soundwave, an intelligence officer turned leader of a dangerous and powerful faction called the Decepticons. Yes, Sir Commander Soundwave, Scrapper says respectfully to his commanding officer while Hook looks at them confused. What's 𝐻𝐿UM-3? The confused Crane says, looking between both of them. Scavenger moves forward with a raised hand. A energy source that's really powerful and self-sufficient and is rare on Earth but is in huge abundance on the moon. Mixmaster presses a few buttons on the screen showing a map of highlighted areas of importance. Our resident recourse specialist managed to locate potential mining sites, he says, proudly pointing at Scavenger. He rubs his head, embarrassed. So if this is a powerful source, why aren't the humans here mining this stuff? They know it's here. Long Haul scratches his head in confusion. Scrapper smirks as he turns to his team. Because of their quirks. Wanna hear a story? They nod their heads. He smiled. Great. It all started when quirks began to appear. The governments of Earth were unable to make a decision on how to handle these new abilities. So much chaos was happening, normal law enforcement couldn't handle the situation. It all changed when the professional heroes were created. He sarcastically quotes the hero part. After civil order was restored, they led the vermin to a new golden age. But this came at a cost. As they focused their attention towards quirks and how to counter them, they neglected to advance their spacefaring capabilities, seeing it as waste of time. Even after that big-time tech company tried to kickstart the space race, and when that company was forced to shut down instead of continuing their work, they kept neglecting it, letting the tech rust away and go into disrepair. Everyone in the room starts laughing loudly, including the little bots, all except Soundwave, who stands there with growing irradiation. Enough. Soundwave yells, annoyed, silencing all of them. It's important that we continue our plan to find the Allspark and bring this world to 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲. Sound. Wav. A slow, raspy voice echoes in Soundwave's head. He immediately stops mid-sentence, making everyone concerned. Scrapper puts his hand on his shoulder, shaking it. Are you okay, Soundwave? He says, concerned. I am okay. You're sure you're dash? I am. Fine. I just need some time alone. There he and his companions walks out of the room, leaving behind a confused group. The small Decepticons follows him also. He and his companions walk past several guards, many of whom paid them no attention. They simply salute him and moved on. As he continues traversing the halls, he sees the extent of the damage to the ship. Moon rocks lodge in the walls, holes large enough that he can see the rest of the base, and he sees that this repair operation is going to take a long time to complete. After walking for unknown amount of time, he and his companions arrives at a door which opens up, revealing his personal quarters. His quarters was a large room with 3 rooms. The one he was currently in was the main room, complete with a table and chairs and couches they stole from Earth. Soundwave. Report. The bodiless, raspy voice speaks again. He and his companions kneel down on one knee and faced astral form of the Decepticons' true leader, the champion of pits of 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, the great slag maker, the founder of their army, the mighty Lord Megatron. We successfully retrieved the flash drive hidden in the server and the file from 𝐼sland. Our involvement hasn't been discovered. He couldn't see it, but he feel the smile on his leader's face getting wider. Excellent, Soundwave. I see you haven't lost your touch. Megatron speaks in a satisfied tone. Ravage steps forward. Do you have a clue where you are, sir? Megatron sighs. Despite my best efforts, I still don't know where these organic parasites are keeping me. They haven't discovered the telepathic link that allows me to communicate with you. That's something good. He's been missing for years. There hasn't been any clues even after waking up from their million-year of sleep. Only Soundwave could tell that he's still walking. They're getting scared. I can feel it, thanks to your successful infiltration of both 𝐼sland and the destruction of that pathetic prison called Tartarus. The inhabitants of this world are becoming more worried about their security and are losing their faith in the heroes. They are both happy about their current success, and if they keep going they'll overthrow the planet and annihilate the Autobots. Until I can figure out where they're keeping me, I need you to focus on finding the Allspark and destroying the Ark. Consider it done. To that the leader of the Decepticons disappears into nothingness. A knock on the door draws his and everyone's attention. Ravage walks to the door and presses a button on the lower part of the door to open it. On the other side of the door was none other than Slipstream. Slipstream finds that no one's at the door when a voice catches her attention. Hey, down here. She looks down and sees the cross expression of the robotic feline. She immediately becomes nervous and frightened. Hey, Commander Ravage, how are you today, sir? Ravage isn't happy. She can see the look on his face. She needed to give him good reason not to kill her. What is it? Sir, we detected a Allspark signature. This gets Soundwave's attention, who immediately gets back up and walks straight up to her face, staring at her closely. Show me. Japan. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 forest. Everyone were sitting on the edge of a deserted cliff lookout next to a road overlooking 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐴 and a gas station downhill. Optimus was lying on his chest using the trees for cover, and so were the girls and Izuku hidden behind the metal safety bars. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐴 was thinking about the prison Tartarus. Everything started to add up. Tartarus was the most advanced facility on Earth, and the reason it fell was because of more advanced technology. It made sense. These Decepticons, that's what she heard, had access to more powerful tools of destruction that allowed them to destroy the prison. But why go through that much trouble? They must be after something, but whatever was in Tartarus with her must now be gone. Cammy brushed off the leaves on her. Izuku sees this and blushes, wanting to avoid being called a pervert. Izuku turns his gaze to Optimus. Why are we here, and how did you know this gas station was here? Yeah, why are we here, Optimus? Ochako says, wondering what they are doing here as well. Optimus points his hand in the direction of May. When we're walking, I may have hacked May's phone. May turns to him with amazement. You can hack things remotely. He nods, returning his gaze back to the gas station. They hear a loud honk. It was a semi-trailer truck carrying an oil tank behind it coming down the road. It parks outside of the gas station. As the driver steps outside of the vehicle and walks into the shop, seeing his chance, he steps out of the trees and makes his way downhill, all while sticking close to the trees and avoiding eyesight. The group are standing amazed. Despite his enormous size, he was incredibly stealthy. Izuku never seen such skill in someone like that. Even pro heroes with size-altering quirks like 𝐻𝗫𝐿 couldn't do what he can do. Optimus is crouching behind a large rock, quickly ducking behind it. As a car rushes past, he pokes his head out with the truck in his sights. Suddenly a beam of light shoots out from his eyes and starts to scan the vehicle from front to back. Mei sees this and smiles wildly to her. She's witnessing a new technology in action, while Izuku and the others have their mouths open and their eyes closed. So bright! 𝐻𝗫𝐿 and 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 yelled out. Once he's done, he retraced his steps and climbs back uphill, and sticking to the trees, he makes it back to the lookout overlooking the city. The group runs to him while he bends down on one knee. This is where we part ways for now. Mei steps forward. You're leaving? Why? I read that organics usually head to bed when it gets dark. You met other races. 𝐻𝗫𝐿 says excitedly. What kind of aliens did you meet? Optimus signs. No, I never met any. I just read from the Iacon archives that when it gets dark, people your age go home to your family or guardians. But enough of that, I'm going to show you something amazing. He grins as he gets back up, standing over them. Suddenly his body's joints starts connecting, disconnecting, spinning and reconnecting as his frame transforms into an exact replica of the truck, except its color was red and blue. Mei was giggling. 𝐻𝗫𝐿 had her mouth open. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, Ochako and Izuku have their eyes open wide. They never seen such an amazing ability. The ability to transform into vehicles, that was amazing. How did you do that? Mei asks with her voice raised. Optimus begins to explain. Our species are born with an organ called a transformation cog, or T-cog for short, that gives us the ability to transform into vehicular forms of any planet in the galaxy that range from land, air, sea, and space. And it can give you the best disguise in the universe. You can scan new vehicles of any world and transform into them. Correct? Mei asks enthusiastically. Optimus nods his head. Mei becomes more happy. I'll be in contact. You'll have the bus tomorrow. But just asking, do any of you need to be anywhere? Izuku's eyes wide in confusion of today. He completely forgot All Might. He is waiting for him somewhere in the wood. Wasting no time, he grabs his things tight and runs to the forest, leaving everyone surprised. I'm sorry, someone's waiting for me. I'll see you tomorrow. His voice begins to become audible. Optimus is surprised by his action. Did he do that? So that happened? 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 says. What everyone thinking? Somewhere else on the mountain. Dusk. Izuku manages reach the destination he was supposed to meet him at, but he's nowhere to be seen. He sits down on a rock to think about his current situation. It's all strange. Aliens exist, and he met one. How was he gonna tell All Might? And should he tell All Might? Would he believe him? Then his father came to mind. Finding out his father was head of a multi-million-dollar tech company and was an infamous hero critic who criticized the most famous heroes. He even called All Might a buffoon and an idiot who forgot to protect the most vulnerable people in society. He had a rivalry with Rikiya Yatsubashi, CEO of Detonarat, a quirk support gear company that was situated only in Japan, but they were second place to Hanma Industrial. They tried to have him removed for his disrespectful attitude, but he always found a way out of his predicament. The only people that saw him as a hero were people in the minority, more preferably those with mutant and villainous quirks, or any with no quirks to speak of. But all that changed when his plane crashed in the ocean. No one knows how and why it crashed, but when the heroes salvaged the wreckage, his body was nowhere to be seen. Many people arrived at his funeral mourning his death. Young midoriya. A loud crash shocks, knocking Izuku off his rock. He gets back up and sees All Might in his buff form standing proudly, smiling brightly down on him. Young midoriya, you're here. I thought you'd get lost. He get down on one, observing midoriya as he gets up, staring him in the face. All Might, where were you? He immediately reverts back into his true form, spitting blood from his mouth. This also frightens Izuku. He rubs his head in embarrassment. I heard that a villain was causing trouble downtown, so I had to leave our lesson to intercept this villain. I'm sorry, I think we should call this a day and head home. Izuku, he starts to think for a moment before nodding, yeah. Back at the cave, a squad of Decepticon troopers stand inside of the cave, all followed by Soundwave. Stands over the remains of the robot that was destroyed. Slipstream walks over to the remains of the robot, becoming a bit nervous. Is this the place? He asks Slipstream, who was staring at the remains of the robot. She doesn't say anything. Her face looked nervous, but someone else answers for her. It is. Our ship's sensors detected a AllSpark signature coming from this cave in Japan. A new voice answers entering the cave. He had vehicular armor with police origins. 2 car doors sticked out from his back. His face had red visor, police hat, and brown skin. He had a gold pendant of the Decepticon symbol, and finally you could see the words punish and enslave on the right side of his chest. Barricade, you made it. I didn't expect you so soon. Did you deal with that police van? Soundwave asked him emotionlessly. Despite my best efforts, they gave me the slip, he says in an angered voice. And why are you here? Soundwave turns to the blue Energon in an annoyed look. He simply pulls out a table from his chest and presents it to Soundwave. He grabs it from his hand and opens it. Pictures of many individuals under the words, wanted dead or scraped. It showed 2 teenage boys. One had pure red hair with yellow strands. He was wearing red and yellow armor with flame stripes. The other was smaller and had yellow hair and blue eyes. He wore yellow and black vehicular armor. His arms and ankles had 2 wheels on each, and his eyes were blue as his companions. The tablet regarded these 2 as extremely dangerous, and any associated with them must be destroyed on sight. I think the Autobots are on this planet. Soundwave and Slipstream turns to him in a shocked and angered expression. What? How is that possible? Soundwave furiously yells in barricade faces, grabbing both his shoulders tightly. How would I know I was stasis locked? Remember, he says in a sarcastic tone, to which it annoyed Soundwave, who was getting ready to pull his gun on him, but Slipstream speaks up, raising her hand. Maybe we should focus on the AllSpark, she adds nervously. They both reluctantly let go of each other, wiping the cave dust off themselves before returning their attention to Slipstream. The Decepticon commander walks up to the remains of the prison robot, inspecting it thoroughly before turning his gaze to the hole in its back. He may not know what happened, but he knows a Cybertronian energy blast. Looks like whoever was in here woke up and shot it. Must have been carrying a powerful weapon. Barricade, take this machine and see what you could find. He then turns to Slipstream. Captain Slipstream, take your squad and do a sweep of the area. I'll call a squad of workers to collect the Energon. The 2 Decepticons salute him and begin their assessments. The Midoriya apartment. Nighttime. Izuku, Midoriya, and All Might manage to reach their destination without any problems. Izuku starts to gather his belongings and heads in the direction of the apartment. He waves goodbye to his mentor as he drives away in his car. Izuku grabs his bag tightly, heading in the direction of his apartment. He sees 2 cats near a dumpster fighting over a piece of moldy meat. They growl aggressively, getting to scratch each other, but one of his neighbors comes out with a broom, shooing them away. He arrives at an elevator on the 1st floor. He presses a button on the wall and waits for the lift. A minute passes by before he hears the ding on the elevator. The doors opens and he walks into the lift. He was about to press his flood number when he heard a familiar voice. Wait, squeak, hold the door. A large fluffy hand grips the door. Izuku hears a puffed out voice breathing heavily. It sounds tired. It was 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, Izuku's new neighbor. Izuku's cheeks immediately starts blushing. How are you today? Thank God that the elevator was big enough to allow someone of her size and weight to use the lift without having a problem. Izuku steps forward. What floor? Floor 8. Where are you heading to? Floor 7. He presses the number for his floor. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 gets excited. So that means we're going to see each other a lot. Izuku turns his head away. The entire ride was silent for a few minutes. None of them spoke a word to each other for the duration of the ride. The sound of the elevator bell rings. He turns to the anamorphic fox. See ya, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, and walks out. Later, neighbor. The doors closes behind him as he walks past several doors before arriving at his house. He was about to open the door when he heard voices behind. It wasn't just his mother's voice, but 2 different ones entirely. He opens the door and sees no one in the hall. They must be in the living room. He takes his red shoes off and leaves them near the door. He walks down the hallway to see who it was, but 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 meets him. She had a very happy expression on her face. Izuku, you won't believe who's here. This gets his attention. Who? He asks 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, confused. But she simply grabs his son's hand and drags him to the living room, where he's greeted by 2 new faces. There was a wavy blonde-haired girl with aqua blue eyes and glasses. She wore a white short-sleeved dress shirt with plaid cuffs, a large bow of the same design, white jeans, and a dark waistcoat and heeled boots. But what got his attention the most, the person next to her. She was a small girl with light green hair and green eyes. She wore small red shirt, a black and yellow 𝐬𝗧𝗟𝗘 skirt, and a pair of chocolate brown boots. She turns her gaze to Izuku, giving him a dull look as he stands there in the doorway, utterly surprised. Hello Izuku. It's been a long time. The 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 forest. Inside the cave, Decepticon workers unload tubes attached to cylinder-shaped canisters and toss them into the blue pools and press a button on the canister to begin suckling the energon out of the pools and into the containers. The pools of energon start to funnel it out to the point there was nothing left, and in its wake the appealing pools of liquid energon were no more. 𝐶𝐿 stands there silently watching the workers finish their work. They were picking up the tubes and canisters, then haul it out of the cave. Suddenly a portal appears in front of the cave's entrance. They enter the swirling vortex, and after a moment it disappears into thin air. Barricade was holding a cable that was attached from his arm to the destroyed Tartarus robot's brain module. He plans to search its memory for anything of value. He presses a button that activates a holographic screen on his arm. The video was fuzzy thanks to the damage it received. He sees only the fuzzy images of a green-haired woman, like it was targeting everyone else, but she was what it wanted to terminate it the most. He activates the built-in civilian recognition database, which scans her face and compares it to several different faces. Many individuals appear and disappear. Many were ordinary people, others were heroes, and some were the so-called villains. After a few seconds a match is found. He opens the file and his eyes immediately opens wide with shock and growing anger. 𝐶𝐿 sees Barricade's frozen, so he walks to his side and taps his shoulder. What is it? Did you find something? He asks curiously. I think we need to have a word with our seeker captain about her mission to Tartarus, he says with growing irradiation. He gestures 𝐶𝐿 to follow him, and they headed off to find 𝐿. While 𝐶𝐿 and Barricade were walking through the forest, 𝐿 was marching side to side while having a conversation with her subordinates 𝐴𝐿 and ☆. She was telling them a brief explanation about their next mission. Our target has the most powerful artifact in the universe and is carrying it somewhere on this dirt bag. Our new objective is simple: find the target, destroy him, and retrieve the 𝐿. Any questions? She looks between ☆ and 𝐿, waiting for an answer. None of them spoke a word. 𝐿 smiles and was about to order them to move out, but 𝐿 raises her hand. I have a question, 𝐿 asks, her hand still raised. 𝐿 becomes very irritated by her sudden interruption, so she turns to 𝐿, who becomes nervous. Anything to add, 𝐿? 𝐿 asks, her voice growling. She steps forward, rubbing her head. I've been thinking about Tartarus, ma'am. 𝐿's demeanor changes from irritated to curious. If you're talking about that prisoner, she is dead along with the hundreds of other dead prisoners. Yeah, I know, but I've been thinking. What if one survived? She asked worryingly. 𝐿 chuckles a bit nervously. She's feeling uncomfortable after seeing that robot. Why would it be here so far from Tartarus? If any survived, it will be on her head 6 feet under. We sent that machine of ours to deal with her, remember? And even if she survived, she'll be several feet underwater. She tries to sound calm as usual, but someone had other plans. 𝐿. She and her men look for the source of the voice. It sounded angry and furious. Before 𝐿 got a chance to say anything, Barricade grabs her by the neck, shoves her against a massive boulder. The rest of the group back away in shock. They 𝐶𝐿 walk towards their commander silently and with no emotion showing. He unleashes metal cable tentacles from his back and sends them towards 𝐿. The vines wrapped around her neck and lifted her into the air. Cybertronians don't have organic organs such as lungs, meaning they don't need air to breathe, but they can still feel the pain of her neck. 𝐻𝐿 I do. She chokes out, confused. 𝐶𝐿 uses his tentacles to throw her over his shoulder and falls flat on the floor, bruised and injured. You compromised our secrecy, that's what, he says angrily. He pulls her back up by her hand. She rubs her neck comfortably. She looks at her commanding officers, gasping for air. How did I compromised us? As she says that, Barricade walks to her side and shows her the memory video revealing that 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 Lady Nagant survived. 𝐿 looks at image of Lady Nagant in complete horror. Barricade walks back to 𝐶𝐿's side and aims a cannon at her head. 𝐿 gets on her knees. Please, she pleads to them, don't kill me, I'll fix my mistake, I will dash. She's suddenly kicked in the face by Barricade, whose arm transformed into a gun and aims it at her chest. What? Go ahead, tell me how, yelling furiously as he prepares to fire 𝐴𝐮𝐿 and 𝐴𝐴𝐿 turn their heads towards the other way. I will finish her worthless existence. Please. She cries out in a desperate bid for her life, hoping to calm their fury and buy herself some respite. Soundwave silently orders him to release her, so he begrudgingly holsters his weapon 𝐴𝐴𝐿, and 𝐴𝐿 quickly runs to her side and pulls her up from the ground. She quickly pats the dirt off her armor and kneels before him. I swear I will find her and anyone associated with her and eliminate them from the equation. She tilts her head down, waiting for an answer. Soundwave contemplates this for a minute, thinking of an answer. All he could think of was just killing her and be done with it and replace her with a more competent seeker, but she was still useful to him and good help was hard these days, so he can't afford to lose her. So with reluctance he gives her an answer, fine. 𝐿𝐿 smiles and prepares to thank him, but he holds his hand out, silencing her. But know this, if you fail this second chance I gave you will be punished. Clear. Yes, sir, Commander, she says with sheepishly, so with no time to spare she motions her soldiers to follow her, so they transform into their vehicle forms and fly off into the air and beyond the clouds. While Soundwave and Barricade watched on from the ground, Soundwave turns to Barricade, find out who that officer is and recover the drone. Barricade salutes him and transforms into the police car and drove the mountain. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. midoriya residence. Morning is here, morning is dash. A hand presses the button on the alarm clock that shuts it off. Izuku rolls onto his back, rubbing both his eyes that were feeling tired. He pulls himself up, looking at the room he slept in. Almost the entire room was full of All Might merchandise, from posters of All Might in various costumes, his Silver Age costume, his Bronze Age costume, and most importantly his current Golden Age costume. Izuku admired his mentor for a long time. Since he first watched his debut, all he ever wanted was to be a great hero like him, but he never developed a quirk, so he faced bullying and harassment from all his former friends, including his former childhood sweetheart and friend Kasumi Bakugo. Suddenly he remembered where he needed to be, so puts on his clothes, running out in the hall and into the living room, nearly tripping on the table. But bumps into his new house guest Melissa Shield, who trips into Izuku after he runs into her, falling onto the wooden floor. He clumsily shakes his head before noticing his hand was touching something soft and squishy. His hand keeps touching it in instinct. But he immediately realizes it was Melissa's 𝐴𝐵, so he jumps back up to his feet. His face was red with embarrassment, causing him to avert his eyes away. Melissa also blushes hard, holding her chest, looking at him furious. She gets up and slaps him. He recoils from the pain, feeling the hand printed on his cheek. He rubs it softly and looks back at Melissa, who is currently embarrassed by the ordeal. Pervert! She yells before running off to the bathroom. Izuku stands there, unable to think of a response until someone else did. If you are better at trying to get the ladies, then you can draw heroes everywhere you go, then you are hopeless. That was the voice of his younger sister Izumi, standing in front of him while holding a cup of tea in her hand. Izumi! How you been? He says, nervous. Silence, that's what can be heard. Both of them didn't say anything. Several emotions are flooding both of them. The older brother felt a mixture of sadness, regret and guilt, while Izumi feels anger, resentment, disappointment and betrayal. The green-haired siblings continue the silent treatment, with Izuku rubbing his hair nervously and Izumi staring at her brother, disappointed. This continues for 1 minute before a ring on Izuku's phone alerts him. He grabs it from his pocket, checks on it. The message on the phone says, Izuku, midoriya, we are waiting for you at the city limits in 62 Street. That got his attention. 62 Street was on the other side of the city. He'll have to take the train. He quickly brushes past Izumi, who watches him close the on way out, feeling a bit suspicious of her brother's actions. Why would he be in such a hurry for unless to meet up with Kasumi for his daily beating? She walks to the bathroom and sees Melissa clutching her chest. Her face was all red with embarrassment. She slowly faces Izumi. Sorry, I slapped your brother. It was instinct. Izumi quickly moves to reassures Melissa. Don't worry about it. It was an accident. I guess Izuku is still terrible with girls. She starts giggling, so does Melissa. They laugh for a good while, but it changes when Izumi's face becomes serious. We need to leave now, she says to Melissa, surprised by her sudden change of demeanor. What, why? She says to Izumi, who says nothing and immediately starts walking towards the front door down the hall and gestures Melissa to follow. Melissa, who is still very much confused, keeps standing still. Why are you in a rush to go now? We just woke up. I'll explain on the way. Mom, we're going out. She yells out. What already? Inko pops her head out from the living room. She stares at both of them confused. Yeah, I've been gone for 3 years to explore 𝐀𝐮𝐬𝐴 and see how much it changed over the years, she says in a sweet voice which convinced her mother to believe her, who smiles happily at her. Okay, be back by noon, she yells out happily. They both scramble out the door. While they run out the door and into the hall, they run into the anamorphic fox, who is struggling to fall off the balcony. Sorry, I was trying to greet the neighbors but got stuck, she says sheepishly. Izumi looks at her with a surprised look. She never met anyone her size before. Sorry to interrupt, but did you see a green-haired boy with freckles come through here by any chance? Her eyes lit up. Oh, I saw him go down the elevator. She points her furred hand to the bottom floor. Izumi quickly looks over the balcony and sees Izuku already standing near the road waiting for a taxi. Izumi and Melissa quickly run to the elevator, pressing the button for the bottom floor. The doors close and the lift descends down. The doors open, prompting the two girls to leap out in a hurry, knocking over a guy who was carrying his boxes. After they reach the road, however, they see that Izuku is already in a taxi heading down the street. Izumi grits her teeth in frustration. Damn it. Melissa pats her shoulder softly. But while they were having their moment, the Camaro was watching them. It starts at engine and reverse back. West 𝐀𝐮𝐬𝐴. After getting off at the correct train station, he continues his walk through the bustling neighborhood. As he walks through the street, he thinks about his sister. It's been 3 years since they last saw each other. Izumi was a very clever and smart girl. In fact, she was one of most intelligent people he knew, a brilliant inventor and an amazing computer programmer. Her skills were legendary and she had impressive quirk. Her ability granted her power to control metals with her mind with immense strength and power. But something puzzled him and everyone else more than anything was that she never wanted to be a hero despite the good she could do with it, and shocked him even more is that she never liked heroes. This caused a strain on their relationship between him and his sister. He tried to get her to become a hero and stop agonizing Bakugo. She refused, of course, and kept on doing it. This continued until everything changed one day when he discovered she was planning to expose Kasumi's bullying to the whole world. But since this would ruin her chance to become an amazing hero, and Izuku thought this was a villainous act and heroes don't destroy others' chance to become one themselves. So he destroyed the evidence Izumi had gathered on her and anyone associated with her, saving her and everyone in his school reputation, protecting their chance to become future heroes. But this decision came at a price. By destroying the evidence she gathered, Izumi lost any respect for him as family, seeing as a traitor, and it prompted her to get a scholarship to Island Academy just to get away from him, and he never thought he ever see her again. Even after secretly destroying that evidence, he went back to the old lifestyle, being picked on every day by Kasumi and her gang. She would belittle, prank, and beat him mercilessly, all with a cruel smile on her face. That memory taught him that not everyone wanted to become heroes, and trying to force them to become something they never wanted become just pushes them away. Greenie, over here. A loud familiar voice yells. His thoughts are interrupted by none other than Mei. She runs towards him and grabs his arm with both hands, causing him to light up with red. Mei looks towards Izuku, an excited look on her face. Can you feel it? He tries to not look at her, feeling her chest touching his arm. Faye, feeling what? He stutters. I'm about to help a space traveler to hide. Isn't this awesome? She says while she keeps pulling him by his arm. They see the group waiting for them near the entrance to another forest. This time it was an old road covered in bushes and cracks. This road hasn't been used in years. It used to be a famous forest lookout in the past, but it has been largely forgotten. The group hear a rumbling sound coming from behind. They look behind them and sees Optimus Prime in his truck form parking right next to them. You're here, thank the Allspark. I didn't think any of you would come. Cammy steps forward to the truck, hands on her hips. So where were you last night? She asked curiously, placing her hand on the door of the truck. I spent the entire lunar cycle searching through all the world's historical journals and documents to get a better understanding of this world's history. Izuku's eyes lit up with excitement. What have you learned about the heroes of our planet? Yeah, what do you like? Ochako appears behind Izuku, holding his shoulders, making him blush again with embarrassment. Optimus is silent. They couldn't see his face. Because he was disguised as a truck, Izuku is confused. Did he like their heroes or did he not? Finally he speaks. It's good that you use your abilities for benefit of others. The teens except 𝐻𝐿𝐴𝐵 smile a bit, but something bothers me a bit. This make everyone confused. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 becomes interested in his response. What bothers you, Optimus? Izuku asks curiously. I'll tell you on the way. The truck's engine starts and he drives forward, prompting everyone to follow him. While everyone was following Optimus, the yellow and black striped sports car was spying on them from a distance. It seems to be focusing its attention on Optimus's disguised form. Over the skies of 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, the only thing that could be seen were birds flying ever gracefully through the clouds. All seemed well until the sound of a sonic boom was heard. Then jets comes flying past, causing them to disperse, and it was none other than Slipstream and her squad. They were observing the city in their jet forms so to not draw the attention of the humans. Slipstream scans the city using her built-in scanners to search the city for anything suspicious or out of the ordinary. All she saw were humans doing human things. Some were buying food from the local stores, talking to friends, heading to work, jogging, and most humans were gawking at several heroes performing stunts. Slipstream stares at them with disdain. Such disgusting creatures. All she wanted was to wipe these things out. She was just waiting for the order to annihilate them. She was about to call it a day when Nova Storm spoke up. Sir, I found something. Sending you a visual. Nova Storm flies right up to her side. A map of the city shows up on her pilot screen. I found an interesting Energon trail in West 𝐿𝐴𝐵. A trail appeared showing a highlighted path throughout the West 𝐿𝐴𝐵 district and half of the city. Is it one of ours? She asks her subordinate, curious of who left it. Which Decepticon was dumb enough to leave a trace of them behind? No, it isn't, and it's leading out to the forest. I'm sending you the coordinates. And wait, I see something on the scanners. Everyone stares at her in anticipation. The map zooms in on a life sign going deeper into the forest. The life sign turns into a red face symbol the entire team recognizes. Everyone double time now. Before we lose the Autobot, Slipstream barks out urgently. Slipstream's jet form immediately swings around, turning to the direction of coordinates her subordinate showed her, prompting everyone to follow suit. They activate their Met booster, causing multiple sonic booms to happen simultaneously and leaving behind large streams of clouds. The forest. Izuku and the group followed the disguised extraterrestrial as he drives through the forest, slowly letting the group follow him very easily. So, what was your opinion on our heroes? Izuku asks, wondering why Optimus Prime is being cryptic with his questions but hoping that his answer is positive. The truck transforms into its humanoid form and he looks down at them. Everyone starts to feel anxious. He gets down on one knee, staring all of them dead in the eye. Izuku thinks to himself, what is his response gonna be? It's noble that they save and protect the innocent, but aren't you worried about what other heroes are doing behind the scenes? This made everyone confused, but none were more confused than anyone else was Izuku midoriya. What do you mean by that? Izuku says, utterly demanding an answer. The alien kept his composure and continued his answer. What I'm saying is I think the HPSC, your government, might have then noble intentions. This answer smacks them all in the soul hard. Mei, Cammy, Ochako were shocked. Izuku and 𝐻𝐿𝐴𝐵 were growing with indecision while the ex-convict stares at the alien giant with a mixture of excitement and relief. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 was looking at him with more attention and a growing smile. This alien robot human thing isn't stupid. Does he sees something they don't? Ochako steps forward, her face morphed into a confused look. What do you mean? What makes you think that? Everyone feels a bit disturbed about his way of thinking. Why would anyone think that? Everyone except Lady Nagant, who is growing more interested in his response. Even Cammy came forward. She looks at him with an angry look. Yeah, why would you think that our heroes are doing something shady? While everyone was getting a little mad, he quickly calms them down. I know it sounds like I'm against them, I'm just pointing out a simple question. Still, why did you say that? Mei asks, curiously, placing her hand on her head. I was watching a late-night news broadcast when I spotted something suspicious, Optimus says, remembering the last night. Last night? 𝐿𝐴𝐵 commercial district. In the bright neon streets of 𝐿𝐴𝐵, the streets, hundreds of people could be seen everywhere. Many were doing something like night shopping, leaving work, while many pro-heroes were patrolling the streets for villains. Optimus drives up the street and to the intersection, which was having a traffic jam. He begins to think to himself. Is he the only survivor of the crash? Is he the only Autobot left in the universe? Are all his friends one with the Allspark? He remembers the good times with his friends, sharing joys and sorrows. All the victories and losses. His love and his friends. Wheeljack, RC, Ratchet, Warpath, Prowl, Sideswipe, Blur, Hound, and greatest of friends Hot Rod and Bumblebee. Suddenly his attention is drawn to what was overlooking him. They were giant jumbo screens that 𝐬𝐶 to the news channel. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you live for a live press conference by the Hero Public Safety Commission. The screen changes to a gathering of reporters in front of a metal podium where there was a middle-aged woman with a stoic and steely face. She wore a black suit jacket and dress along with a purple shirt and pearl necklace. Surrounding her were tall men in black suits and wore black sunglasses. She lowers her head to the microphone, tapping it 2 times, making sharp sound before speaking. I would like the Hero Public Safety Commission to express our deepest condolences for the heroes that gave their lives in the incident that occurred with the Supermax prison Tartarus. Any questions? She says it with emotionless face. One reporter raised his hand. Madam President, are you going to tell us how relatively unknown villains managed to gain access to such a secure facility? We cannot answer those questions at the moment. Next question, please. Another reporter, a female, raises her hand. What are the heroes doing to combat the recent crime wave that has risen in the few days? The president turns to her. We're increasing the patrol patterns of all our heroes. Do you think they'll do something again? She asks again. Do not fear, we have most powerful heroes in the country working on the case. The president's face remains stoic. Another reporter stands up. How is that going to solve the crisis? We have All Might, Endeavor, Best Jeanist, and many others searching for anything useful, but we promise these are just villains who got lucky and dash. If that's the case, why are we getting a high crime rate now? A new voice questions, cutting the woman off. This gets everyone in the room attention. Their attention turns to 2 young females. One had slim features, blonde hair, green eyes, smooth pale and skin rosy cheeks. She wore a brown vest with a green sweater underneath. She had a green scarf, brown bag, shoes, and black breathes. The other had a curvaceous figure with black hair, blue eyes, and she wore a green vest with a white t-shirt in the middle, gray skirt, black heels. Excuse me, but who are you? President asked. The one with black hair speaks. I am 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 with you. This here is my friend 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. She speaks up with a professional voice, gesturing to the blonde-haired girl who smiles sweetly. And why is UA sending students here? This is an adult gathering. The president asked again, this time with a suspicious look. The 2 girls simply smile. We got special passes from our teacher Spectrum. 𝐻𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 smiles sweetly. The president and every other reporter growls at that name. Some spout their complaints openly about him. Optimus may not see it, but he can feel the hostility in the air. Whoever is this Spectrum is, he's apparently not popular with this world's media. Before the president said anything, May puts her hands in the air, waving them. Okay, we're getting off topic here. She yells out, getting everyone's attention. Back to the story at hand, we need to talk about the escalating situation involving the rising crime rate. Everyone leans forward to pay attention. Optimus continues watching from his vehicle form, which was in the middle of the road and blocking traffic, causing the people to yell in frustration, so he drives forward and turns left on the intersection. He continues driving before turning left again to a small street. He turns on a small screen in his vehicle form. One of the many reasons why Tartarus fell was because the security system was not updated in decades. This facility's cyber defense system against viruses failed because it was not updated. Why? May questions. President turns her head away. We didn't think it needed an update because we thought Tartarus was advanced enough to deal with it. So you are admitting you neglected the prison because you thought you didn't need to improve it? May asked, making everyone stare at her and her friend angrily. But that's not the most terrifying thing. Island was also attacked at the same time as Tartarus. 𝐻𝐮𝐿 reveals, making everyone jump with a perplexed look. How did you find out about that? The president says, surprised and mad. The duo pull out a file from their bag, showing it to everyone. It was leaked by an anonymous source on the internet. Everyone knows about it now. This make everyone feel more scared and Optimus more suspicious. 𝐻𝐮𝐿 also stands up to speak. We discovered that approximately 10 minutes before we lost contact with the prison, they received anonymous activity from their scanners. They reported experiencing a technical problem. It started with the computers going haywire, glitching out, then the automated defense systems started targeting not just the prisoners but also the guards before communications went. This news make everyone in the room uncomfortable, including Optimus. He senses something is wrong. One of the reasons why we had heavy casualties was because the heroes ran in head first without blocking off the area and evacuating the civilians, all because they want to be first to bring them in, May says in sarcastic tone, which irradiated the journalists in the press conference. It wasn't just them, heroes everywhere were voicing their disdain for the girl, including a certain flame hero who sits in his office clenching his fist angrily. Are you saying our heroes are becoming sloppy? The HPSC president says to May with her professional voice, but Optimus could hear the bits of anger in her voice. Everyone in the press conference were getting angry, all their eyes were locked on the two girls. Yes. We've gotten ignorant from the years of peace our country has experienced in the past decade. Our society has gotten complacent. We need to start embracing dash. Before she could finish, someone in the crowd interrupts her. It was one of the journalists in the crowd who stared at them with disdain. He looked like a stereotypical sleazy reporter, creepy long face, long arms, short brown hair. Everything about him made the girls and Optimus uncomfortable. I think you overstayed your welcome. He looked at them with a creepy smile. Kana was about to talk up, but the president cuts her off. Yes, this press conference is getting late. We don't need to stay. Besides, I need to look into something. She begins to walk out of the conference room with her bodyguards following her from behind. Everyone in the room begins leaving the room, grabbing their belongings and carrying them with them out the exit, all while staring disappointedly at them. The TV cuts off, leaving Optimus in the alley in his thoughts. Present. And that is why I'm being suspicious of heroes and this world's government, Optimus says with growing suspense in his voice. The group think about his story. Izuku was unsure what to think. Everything he knew was being questioned. Why is he saying things like that? None of this makes sense. For as long as he can remember, he was told heroes were brave individuals who saved those in need, and the government was built to support them. Now he's being told they're up to something shady. Is he right? No, he's not. He's wrong. Heroes aren't flawed, they're perfect. So what makes you think the HPSC being suspicious? He asks, voice filled with frustration, getting the attention everyone. Kana walks forward, rubbing her head. They're the top hero supporting agency in the country. Why are you accusing them of corruption? Ochako also butts in, yeah, they support pros, they're not villains. The former hero looks at these with a look of disappointment. These brats are really naive. That's the Hero Public Safety Commission for ya. They practically brainwashed them with their propaganda while I was in prison, she thought bitterly. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 stands in front of Optimus, both her arms raised in a defensive stance. The teens were shocked by this. Why was she doing? She walks forward with both her hands raised. Why are you guys acting like that? All he hadn't done nothing wrong. Izuku quickly exclaims, but he was accusing heroes of corruption. How is that okay? I know it isn't, but you don't have to get angry over the slightest of offenses to heroes, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 says in a calm professional tone. Izuku stops for a moment before continuing on with his discussion. Okay, I know it's not right to get worked up about everything, but I find it hard to believe heroes of all things could do anything heinous as corruption. It's unbelievable, saying with confusion. And how is that unbelievable? Izuku turns around, seeing Kana staring directly into his eyes with anger. Izuku tenses up. It's just not right. Why would heroes do something like that? Don't believe everything you see on TV because governments tend to speak lies. All Might isn't corrupt, he's the perfect hero. Kira, he growls. All Might is a naive fool. She screams furiously, causing everyone to back up. Shocked, Izuku backs up, shocked as well, but Kana wasn't done yet. All he ever does is rush and punches a couple of villains and flies off, never really noticing what caused them to rise in the first place. Kana's eyes lit up with rage as she continues her barrage of words. And that's not the worst of it. The rest of Hero Society still hasn't realized what is happening behind the scenes, all the bloody things they've covered up. Izuku steps up, more furious than ever. All Might isn't a fool. How could you say that heroes are flawed? They save us from villains. How could you hate them? Kana finally reached her breaking point and stares at him, furious. I may have liked them if they didn't throw me in that hellhole Tartarus. Kana screams out loud. It only took her a second to realize what she'd done. The girls and Izuku look bewildered. Optimus Prime looks at her with a surprised expression. Ochako steps forward with a cautious approach. What do you mean from thrown in Tartarus? She asked, confused and carefully before she of anyone could ask. The sound of a sonic boom ruptures the air, causing everyone to drop to the ground, covering their ears. They look up at the sky, seeing two F-4 Phantoms jets and one F-35 Lightning II flying overhead. Izuku and the girls look up in amazement. Are those our fighter jets? He says amazed. May looks at him confused. They fly through the sky with perfect accuracy, doing stunts like barrel rolling. The humans hear the sound of its engine roar all over the forest, causing the birds to panic and fly away. They're amazing, 𝐻𝐿𝐴⁒ also agrees in as well. But I thought the world governments scraped all the military hardware during the global demilitarization. May shock at the sight. Maybe not all of them, Cammy thinks out loud. The only ones who wasn't amazed was Optimus and Lady Nagant, who looks at the aircraft with suspicious looks. Who called in the Air Force? 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 says suspicious. The aircraft circles around to the group direction, arming their missiles as they get in attack formation. Optimus leans in to get a better view. He activates his mechanical eyes, zoom in to identify the mysterious aircraft. His eyes open wide with shock. That's not the Air Force. His voice filled with a serious tone. Everyone turns to him with worry. The jets arm their missiles and prepares to fire them in attack formation. Take cover! Optimus yells out frantically. The teens immediately scramble to find shelter as he grabs a massive boulder from the side of him and puts it in front of them, using it as a shield. The cons launch their ordnance at them and hit the boulder, causing a massive explosion that knock him and everyone else off balance, sending rocks crashing into the forest, causing trees to be cut down. A flash of light. Shapeless objects. Bodiless voices. A loud pulsing ringing sound echoes constantly in Izuku's ear. His vision was fuzzy thanks to the explosion. Faint voices yell out. He couldn't make out anything, everything was a blur. He sees things he can't make out. Slowly his vision and hearing returns and he sees that everyone was okay, namely Ochako, Nijire, Izumi, Melissa, May, Cammy, and Kira. He pushes the pieces of wood covering his body off, dusting his hands off. His breathes. He looks around, seeing the destroyed forest, somewhere engulfed in fire, knocked down, or just cut down by the rocks. He quickly runs to the girls' side, grabbing their shoulders worryingly. Are you all right? He checks for any injuries that might be fatal. He crawls to each girl, searching for injuries. He sees only minor scrapes and bruises on all of them and is relieved to see them okay. He smiles. 𝐻𝐿𝐴⁒ lifts her head up, groggily shaking it to shrug off the dizziness. Is everyone okay? She chokes. Some of the smoke got in her throat. Nijire is the first to respond. I'm okay, just bruised, that's all. Yes, same here, May speaks up. We're good too. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 shouts out, pointing her thumb at Cammy, who covered in ash. Cammy coughs out as she looks at herself in a puddle. Oh no, my hair. She yells, dismayed, holding her messy hair. I don't think you want to worry about your hair right now, 𝐀𝐮𝐴 says, annoyed by her behavior. Optimus manages to regain his bearings. He pushes himself off the ground. He looks around the area frantically till he saw the humans fine. He sighs in relief. Are you injured, children? The teens nods and he smiles happily. The jets circle back around, heading towards them again. On his face, two plates form a mask as he readies himself for battle. The three jets fly upwards and transform mid-air, back flipping before landing gracefully on the ground, causing a minor tremor that knocks Izuku off his foot and lands on top of 𝐻𝐿𝐴⁒. Both of their faces lit up with red as stare into each other's eyes. Izuku quickly jumps up, blushing mad. So does Uraraka, who backs up embarrassed. Well, 𝐿𝐴⁒ smiles wickedly as she strides forward. Her helmet folds back, revealing her black short hair and red eyes. I thought it would some random Autobot troopers for a second, but Primus BDMN if it isn't the Autobot's Supreme Commander himself. We've been looking for you for a long time. She looks down at his feet, seeing the organics behind him. She smirks mockingly. And you brought your new pets? The human sent a glare her way which didn't go unnoticed by her. What's someone upset? What do you want, Slipstream? Optimus asks stoically as he readies himself for a potential fight. Slipstream simply looks at her fingers. Oh, nothing really, I just want the whereabouts of the Ark and all your pathetic Autobots if I don't get the right answer I'm looking for. Well, she snaps two of her fingers, prompting two of her subordinates who standing behind her to aim their guns at them. The teens hide behind the alien's leg. Comply with me and I will grant you and those disgusting little creatures a quick death. She sneers. Her threat frightens Izuku and the girls while 𝐀𝐮𝐴⁒ and Nijire readies themselves to fight. Izuku turns his head up, facing Optimus. Who are these guys, Optimus, and who is she? Optimus doesn't make a move. He still had his eyes set. The trio, they are part of a dangerous faction on my home planet, and she is a formidable captain among their ranks, he answers tensely. How dangerous? She asks with a motionless look. She grabs a couple strands of her hair and molds it into bullets. 𝐻𝐼 steps forward, aiming her arm-mounted guns in direction. How about your burnt vaporized corpse to prove it? 𝐶𝐿 immediately places her hand in Nova's weapon. That's enough, 𝐻𝐼, hold your fire. For now, she gestures her to hold fire, to which she reluctantly obeys. The Decepticon captain, consider this as your final warning. Give me the location of the ark or suffer. She aims her arm at his head, causing her helmet to form back. But in the heat of the moment, Optimus aims both his arms at the Decepticons. Never, he answers bravely as two of his arms morphed into cannons. 𝐶𝐿 smirks, wrong answer, autobot. A sudden energy beam appears out of nowhere and hits 𝐶𝐿 in the chest, knocking her down. The human and Optimus are shocked. What was that? 𝐻𝐼 shocked. Where did it come? 𝐿𝐿𝐼𝐿, Izuku, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 says at the same time. Then the roar, a loud engine, draws everyone's attention. It was a yellow and black striped 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐴 driving towards them at breakneck speed. The 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐴 suddenly hits the brakes, spinning uncontrollably across the dirt, but as it is spinning it begins to transform. Parts of the car shift and turn till it formed a giant humanoid teen with yellow hair, blue eyes, and 4 fingers on each hand. His armor had all the car parts in various points of his body. 2 of the car doors sticked out from his back like wings. The chest consists of the headlights and the front grille. His feet looked like boots with a tire attached to the side of them. The teenager readies himself as a blade sticks out from his left arm. His right arm becomes a cannon and a battle mask forms on his face. Optimus' eyes wide. He couldn't believe it. It's him. After long, untold years, it really him. Izuku sees the surprised expression on the giant's face. Do you know him, Optimus? He asks, confused. Optimus simply smiles happily under his mask, simply says one word. Bumblebee. The beautiful forest. The sound of gunfire and loud explosions can heard from every corner of the forest. Trees are being torn apart by energy projectiles, splitting them into many pieces. Down the 2 Autobots, Optimus and the new arrival Bumblebee, are running from the Seekers while firing back at their pursuers with their guns. Don't let them escape, destroy them all. 𝐶𝐿 yells with both of her subordinates behind her. From their faraway position, 𝐻𝐼 and ☆SUNSTORM quickly aim both arms in the air and launches several missiles. They fly at supersonic speed with deadly intent. Optimus and Bumblebee pale at this and quickly run to a nearby big ditch to seek shelter. Everyone get to cover. He yells at the humans behind him as he and his friends slide down the hill. Izuku, Ochako, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐴, Mei, 𝐾𝐮𝐿 and 𝐻𝐼 are seen running through the chaos of flying debris and burning trees. They jump over broken logs and rocks while under fire from the Decepticons. They quickly slide down the hill to avoid the dangerous bombs fall on them. Boom. The explosion struck down hard like thunder from the sky, completely knocking them off the cliff and causing them to roll uncontrollably downhill. The yellow mechanical teen quickly raises his arms and catches Izuku and Ochako, who lands in his left hand while holding each other's hands tightly. Izuku opens his eyes, seeing Ochako's arm wrapped around his stomach. He blushes hard again. 𝐾𝐮𝐿 comes rolling into his left side, crashing her face into his chest and hugging him. This caused him to steam up in embarrassment. His face turns into giant tomato. While that happened, Optimus quickly catches the 3 other girls, Mei, 𝐻𝐼, and 𝐾𝐮𝐿, in both his hands. They hit bottom hard. "Oh my, but it hurts," 𝐾𝐮𝐿 exclaims, rubbing her behind. "You and me both," 𝐻𝐼 also agrees. Bumblebee quickly grabs 2 spherical-shaped devices and tosses them into the air, which turns into a floating ball with a gun attached to the bottom of them. The drone's vision turns towards them, locking its sights on the trio. Target acquired, rat-a-ta-ta-ta. And with that it releases barrage of bullets, causing the Seekers to dive out of the way from its line of fire. 𝐶𝐿 jumps behind a tree and turns to 𝐻𝐼. 𝐻𝐼, call Decepticon command. She yells out. 𝐻𝐼 nods while behind a big tree. She puts a finger to her earpiece. This is Private 𝐻𝐼. Seeker Squad Delta of the 373rd Seeker Battle Egg Group, we're under fire, requesting reinforcements. The Moon. Decepticon Headquarters. The Lunar Dome, a large building with a spherical-shaped roof. It had a considerable amount of radar dishes and antennas located on the left side of the Nemesis. The Lunar Dome was the main central hub for military intelligence. Soundwave was walking towards several consoles, hands behind his back, inspecting each one of the vehicons to see which one was doing their job right. His cold gaze made all of them nervous but said nothing because insulting him of all people would be a death sentence. He wasn't wearing his armor this time. He wore a distinguished officer uniform with the faction's insignia on the chest. It was blue with yellow outlines. It looked like a normal set of clothes, but there's one major difference. It's not clothes, it is actually his skin. Cybertronian bodies are a techno-organic metal that is capable of many things, including making it resemble human clothing. He chose it because it looked professional. "Commander Sound, sir." A female 𝐒𝐿 walks up to him, saluting him nervously. "What is it?" he says, agitated, not wanting to be disturbed. She shuffles up. "It's Captain Slipstream," she's saying. "They're under attack." Soundwave composure changes from agitated to professional. He follows her to a console in the middle of the room. She presses a couple of commands on the alien computer, and what meant to be a voice was the sound of gunfire and yelling. "Captain Slipstream, report." The 𝐒𝐿 responses, "Only the static sounds of gunfire can be heard." She answers again, "Captain Slipstream, are you still online?" After a moment of silence, Slipstream answered the call. "This is Captain Slipstream. We are in a fire fight. We need backup now." She yells into the mic, which catches them off guard. "What is it? Did the heroes discover you?" she questioned. "No, it isn't humans. It's the Autobots," she shouts loudly. The entire room went immediately silent after that declaration. No one said a single Autobots. Now how did they find Earth? Soundwave immediately move in to get a better understanding of the situation. "How many Autobots and who are they? Did you identify them?" he says, concerned. "Yeah, it's the Autobot scout Bumblebee. Bumblebee, one of the most irritating bots out there, and he's here on this mud ball. There must be something important here that brought him here." But there was another thing to question. "Who is with him?" he questions. "It's him." "It's who?" "He's on Earth." "But damn it, who the scrap is it?" Soundwave yells, patience running thin, slamming his fist on the computer. "Optimus Prime." The whole place was stunned. Every person in the room completely stops. What? Look at the console. Slack-jawed Soundwave backups, shocked beyond belief. "Did he hear that right? Did she say Optimus Prime? The Optimus was here and still online." So much thoughts were going through his brain module. How is this possible? How did he survive the crash? All of this doesn't make sense. But he shakes those thoughts off right now. There's chance to be rid of the Autobot stench once and for all. His clothes suddenly start to disappear into a silver metallic pieces that shift into his armor, complete with his helmet folding back over his head. "Reroute any nearby Decepticons to her location and tell Sideways to ready the space bridge." And with that he leaves the hub, leaving everyone to their work. The 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 forest. Bumblebee quickly sticks his head from the ditch to see the situation. He sees that the drones were doing their job at holding them off. He slid back down to the group. He makes a strange audible sounds to Optimus while the rest are confused at what he said. What did he say?" Izuku utterly confused. It wasn't just him, the girls were also unsure of what he said. "Well, except..." May leans forward. "He said that would keep them busy." The two alien giants look at her surprised. Bumblebee gets down on his knees, making another weird sound. "Yeah, I understand you. When live around machines you tend to learn how to understand them." She turns around to Izuku. "So what's our plan?" Izuku steps back surprised, but this doesn't stop him. Izuku thinks to himself as he stands there silently. After a minute of silence, he finally answers with a hopeful smile, "We could wait for the heroes to save us." Cammy steps up happily. "Yeah, they're going to save us. We'd be dead by the time they get here, brats." 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 bitterly states, and she points upwards to top, "And even if they do come, no hero on Earth could stop those things." Izuku turns to Optimus with hopeful look. "Can we beat them, sir?" "Yeah, can we?" Ochako speaks up hopefully. Optimus Prime sighs deeply. "No, we can't." The group look down disappointed, but their eyes look up. "That doesn't mean we can't try." The humans' faces form a growing smile. Whoever he is, the alien was telling them, stand strong. Izuku, while disappointed about no heroes coming, was amazed by how he managed to steal their worries very quick. He feels aura of wisdom and strength. "I will draw their fire." Bumblebee, "Take the humans and get them to safety." He climbs up the rocks as several fall down. "Wait, I still don't understand. Who are they?" Izuku yells out. Optimus stops his climb and looks back at Izuku. "I wish I had time to explain, but know this: they are called Decepticons, and they are not to be trusted no matter what they say." He turns to Bumblebee, nodding to him. Bumblebee nods back. He gestures the children to follow him as he crouches down. The humans follow suit while one certain pink-haired inventor secretly climbs the wall with no one knowing. Optimus reaches the top while checking the surroundings for any Decepticons. He points his cannon at the trees. Slipstream leaps out from her position, firing off a few stray rounds at him. Optimus quickly dives down, missing them by a thread. He shoots back at her, hitting her shoulder in the process. She rolls away right before his bullets hit her. She then let loose a few missiles at him. Optimus grabs a tree and bats a missile off its trajectory. The drones circle back, prepared to open fire on her. She jumps into the air and blasts them with her guns, landing gracefully on the ground. "You're going to have to do better than that, Prime." And she quickly ducks a fist from him and punches him in the stomach. He stumbles backwards, crashing into the trees. Slipstream leaps forward as her back opens up. A blade from it. She reaches back for it and pulls it out and swings at him, who blocks it with his blade. He uses his blade to push hers off and punches her in the face, who reels back in pain. Izuku was following Bumblebee with the girls as they navigate their way through the ditch. He decides that he should do a head count with his finger. He counts the girls. There's 𝐻𝐿𝐿, 𝐻𝐿𝐿, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, and wait, he counts again. 𝐻𝐿𝐿, 𝐻𝐿𝐿, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, and what the? Where's May? He looks around frantically, turning his head back and forth. Izuku is hyperventilating at this point. She should be here with everyone else. Why isn't she here? Bumblebee sees that Izuku standing there and walks back to him, tapping his head with his finger, which causes him to stumble back in pain. Bumblebee makes a few apologetic sounds. Izuku gets back up. "It's okay, I'm fine." 𝐻𝐿𝐿 walks back to his side with worried expression. "What are you doing? We shouldn't be here." Izuku immediately realizes what he wanted to say. "May, she's not here." This makes the humans and the giant reel back. "Huh, what?" they all say at the same time. Optimus yells out before slamming Slipstream onto the ground hard by her leg. It seemed that he had the upper hand, but she wasn't done yet. She used rockets to boost herself up and roundhouse kick him in the face. "Gwa!" he yells as he collapses to the ground. Slipstream quickly places her foot on his chest. How does that feel, Prime?" She smirks smugly as she readies her guns to fire. But a rock hits her head, catching her attention. She sees that May was responsible for the rock's disturbance. Slipstream smiles to herself. "Did you really think that could hurt me, huh? Leave him alone." she cries out. "Or what, gonna pebble me to death?" she laughs mockingly. Optimus looks at her shocked. "No, May, get out of here." he yells, worried for her safety. But just in the nick of time, Bumblebee appears and shot her in the gut, knocking her down on her back. He's followed by Izuku, 𝐻𝐿𝐿, 𝐻𝐿𝐿, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, and 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. 𝐻𝐿𝐿 walks up to May and shakes her furiously. "What were you thinking, May? You could have been severely hurt." She kept shaking her, making May's hair swing back and forth again and again. Izuku stops 𝐻𝐿𝐿 from completely breaking her. He turns to 𝗧𝗏, looking at her dead in the eye. "Why did you leave the rest of us, 𝗧𝗏? You do know we need to get out of here, right?" Izuku asks, wanting to know why she ran off. May simply smiles, waving it off. "I wanted to see how Cybertronian weaponry works." Izuku is confused by her carefree attitude towards him. Why is she so calm in this situation? Before he could say anything else, Optimus steps in. "I know we should the issue, but we need to move now. Their reinforcements arrives." Everyone turns to him. Izuku walks to him, now confused. "Reinforcements? What do you mean? It's just the three of them." He rubs his head. Optimus keeps his eye on the Decepticon captain. "Trust me when I say this, young Izuku. Decepticons like her never travel alone." The roaring sound of engines fill the air, catching everyone's attention. It sounded like a pack of angry beasts roaring wildly into the sky. They turned their heads to where the sounds were coming from, and they were coming from a hillside just a mile away. It was 6 black identical muscle cars that didn't look like they were sightseeing for birds. The 6 black cars drive off the cliffside, driving down the hill very fast, and jump off a ramp, transforming mid-air into 6 identical giants with silver face masks, red V-shaped visors. They had the car parts all over their bodies, car wheels on their shoulders and legs. "𝐿 troopers, it means they're not the only ones here," Optimus says grimly as he and Bumblebee ready themselves for battle. Slipstream flies up to the 𝐿 while they stand and salute her. "Troopers, destroy the Autobots but leave the humans to me." And at that they split up. The 𝐿 take on the Autobots while Slipstream turns left to chase down the humans. Optimus's left hand turns into a sword he uses to stab a 𝐿 in the gut. Bumblebee runs up to one and drop kicks him, causing the trooper to fall down, but another 𝐿 tackles into a trio of trees. The humans meanwhile were not in a great position. They were running through the forest with the Decepticon captain and her two subordinates 𝗏𝗏 and 𝗏𝗏 right behind them. "Come on!" the young inheritor shouts as he continues running from the evil metal giants. They run for their lives. 𝗏𝗏 decides it's time to stop running and fight back. So she stops right there, turning behind facing the alien, and puts both her hands together. Full charge output level 30 𝐻𝐿 wave. A powerful wave of spiraling energy that knocked Slipstream and her squad down on their backs. 𝐻𝐿 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. She can convert her own energy into shootable shockwave. They take spiral path towards their target, so they're not the fastest. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 then joined in as well by breathing out smoke from her mouth that engulfs the area. Suddenly several figures appear out of the smoke. It was the group, and they run in the other direction. 𝗏𝗏 pulls herself and spot the group running away through. She looks to Slipstream, who was already on her feet. "Captain there." She points to the fleeing flesh bags. They immediately activate their rocket boosters to catch up with them fast. The teens and 𝗏𝗏 managed to get far away enough from the alien giants, but it wasn't fat enough. The Decepticons catched up to the humans by cornering them near a rock wall. The Decepticons raised their arm-mounted cannons at them in a threatening manner. ☆ smirks wickedly as he trained his gun on 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲. Any last words, fleshy? But the humans didn't say they. Their faces were scared, but they didn't say and do anything. The trio lean in to touch them, and when their finger made contact with them, the humans disappear into smoke, shocking the aliens as they step back. "What the frag?" Slipstream yells out, shocked and confused as hell. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 smiles to herself as she and the rest were making their escape. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 𝗏𝗏 quirk glamour. Her quirk allows her to emit smoke from mouth that can create illusions for large areas but lasts for short periods of time. "That was amazing, 𝗏𝗏. midoriya exclaims as they kept running from them. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 smiles at that. "Oh, thanks, dude." She playfully winks to him that cause him to turn red again. He thinks to himself as he continues running with pink cheeks, "I can't believe I'm talking to other girls. Is this a dream?" But before they could continue on further, two giants land in front of them, a maroon and yellow armored man with jet parts like Slipstream cockpit on his chest, two wings on his back, and exhaust parts on his shoulders. The other is female with the same body but had green jet armor. She aims her gun that in front of them, shooting a beam of sludge that melts the ground in front of them, stopping them in their tracks. "I don't think so." She again blasts her acidic cannons to box them in a makeshift circle. Acid storm. Alternate mode F4 Phantom. She uses modified cannons that can shoot a highly corrosive substance that can melt anything it touches, and has a sadistic personality, taking pleasure from watching her victims melt before her eyes. Alternate F4 Phantom. This guy will beat you to the ground and blow you away with his powerful jet engines. He's not smartest tool in shed but is still a dangerous Decepticon. "How about we have little fun?" He turns on his jet engines and a strong gust of wind pushes them back hard. Whoosh! Izuku and friends are forced to the ground again, rolling into the dirt and scraping their skin in the process while holding on for dear life so they don't fall in the toxic sludge resting in the bottom. Move grins maliciously, getting down on one knee. "Where do you think you're going?" The humans crawl back in fear. The girls cling to Izuku, causing him to cling to them as well, while 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐴 activates her quirk and fires 2 shots off, hitting Move in the cheek. He chuckles. "Was that supposed to hurt me?" She looks down hopeless and crawls to Izuku's side, accepting her fate. Izuku begins to internally panic about dire situation they're in. "There's got to be a way out of this. Come on, come on, come on. We could run to a river and call for heroes, or just call out for All Might, but will that help us in the long run? These Decepticons are extremely fast for their size and are heavily armed and dash." Ching! The sound of a gun ping catches his attention. He sees that the maroon armored giant was getting ready to execute them right here in the forest. "Is this it? I don't get to be the #1 hero after. I'll just die here in this forest surrounded by evil robot humanoids." He clenches his fist tight, wrapping his arms around the girls, tightly closing his eyes. "Well, this is it. Goodbye, Mom and Izumi. You won't be dealing with your worthless family member again, and sorry, All Might, I just wasn't good enough to be your successor." A large figure was smashing through the forest at high speed, knocking trees and rocks in its way. It was a large, strange red vehicle with heavy armor plating with a very large cannon fixed in a straightforward stationary position. It looked like a tank, but of an unknown make. What made it even more strange? that it was hovering above the ground blowing dust and leaves away with its propulsion engines. It begins to slow down, stopping near a ledge overseeing the faraway Decepticons in the distance. Its cannon aims upwards and it turns around facing the distant enemies. I got only one thing to say to you, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. The tank fires its gun, letting out a terrible sound, and a ball of highly volatile energy flies through the air. The terrible sound can be heard by both parties. Up in confusion, the volatile ball of energy hits the ground, letting out a large explosion, knocking everyone back. The force of the wind carried the humans over the acid pools, landing them in a small pond. The hovering tank jumps off the ledge, falling face as it reaches the bottom, but loud. Very loud of sounds of laughter can be heard. Ha ha wahoo. The tank shoots the ground, making another large explosion that ripples the air. It's launched in the air again, swinging wildly and uncontrollably as it reaches its destination, but while the tank is in the air it transforms. Parts shift around. 2 legs form from the front tank treads, 2 arms pop out from the back treads of the tank, while the cannon turret folds back to form the torso, and a head forms on top of the turret. It was red masked helmet with the blue eyes visible. The heavily tanked giant smashes his body with the ground, sending rocks flying, hitting the 2 seekers in the head. The giant jumps back up with excitement, continuously swinging his fist around in the air. Ha! Now that is how you make an entrance. He faces the Decepticons, who back up in fear. WhatIf. Alternate mode hover tank. A boy with a love for explosives, big and larger. He's armed with the most powerful weapons imaginable and is partially deaf, caused by his own enormous cannon. Who's ready for a fresh aft kicking? He pulls out 2 rotating guns, holding them in each hand, and aims them at the seekers, who cower in fear. Izuku looks at the red giant in confusion while brushing off the dust. Who are you? Oh, organics, I haven't introduced myself. I'm WhatIf, the Autobots demolition expert in charge of explosives and bringing the heaviest artillery to the battlefield. He bows his head in acknowledgement while still aiming at the Decepticons. Die autobots. They quickly pull out their guns, but WhatIf was quicker. He pulls the trigger on his enormous guns and starts spinning fast, letting out a stream lights and a deafening roar of gunfire. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat. It's so loud the humans have to cover their ears to stop them from bleeding. Izuku is holding on to the girls as he watched the scene unfold. The seekers jump into the air to avoid the hail of bullets hitting them, but WhatIf aims upwards, filling the sky with his firepower. Oh, you didn't think it was going to be easy? 2 boxes appear on his shoulders, firing several missiles that seem to be locked on the Decepticons' position. They all over the place, doing their best to avoid the dangerous bombs chasing them. Ah ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Several trees were being mowed down by the red giant's guns from their hiding spot. They watched the giant warrior continue his explosive-filled rampage. Optimus and Bumblebee continue their fight with the 𝐒𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. Optimus back kicks one in the head. He turns his direction to another trooper that was attacking him from the front. The trooper grabs him by the head, slams him into the floor. Bumblebee sees this and moves in to save his commander, but is quickly tackled by a trio of 𝐒𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐴𝐵s. They drag them to 𝐶𝐿𝐿, who was standing over a boulder. She looks at them while holding a rabbit by its ears with 2 fingers. She looks at the 2 captured Autobots with a wicked smile. How many Autobots are out there and where are they? She drops the rabbit on the ground and crushes it with her foot. Disgusting. She wipes the bloody foot with a giant cloth and tosses the cloth at Bumblebee's face. He tries to retaliate but gets slammed to ground. Optimus, who was being held by his arms, turns to her. I do not know, but his answer is meet with a harsh slap from the Decepticon captain. Wrong answer, Prime. She clicks both her fingers. Optimus and Bumblebee are being held down by a squad of 𝐒𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐴𝐵s, slamming their faces into the dirt, pointing their weapons at their heads. 𝐶𝐿𝐿 seemed proud of achievement. She aims her guns at each of their heads. 𝐶𝐿𝐿 smiles wickedly. Any last words before you become scrap? Her cannon glows as it heats up. A 𝐒𝐮 looks behind her and sees something shocking. 𝐶𝐿𝐿. But is met with a beam or energy to the head. He falls lifelessly to the ground as his squad looks at him shocked. More beams hit each one of the 𝐒𝐮𝐿s, causing more to fall to the ground. Optimus and Bumblebee quickly get back and aim their weapons at 𝐶𝐿𝐿, whose face turns to anger and frustration. She was about to achieve victory against the Decepticons' greatest enemy, who dared to attack her at her moment of victory. The one responsible was a young man in his teens. He had red straight hair, deep blue eyes like Bumblebee, tan skin. He wore red and yellow vehicle armor with a red insignia on the chest. 2 tires on his shoulders, a yellow fin hung on his back, and there were exhaust pipes on his arms. What, too hot for you, 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫? He smirks as fire erupts from the exhaust pipes on his arms, causing Slipstream to fly away in panic. Hot Rod. Alternate mode Lamborghini 𝐴𝐮𝐿𝐴. A young lieutenant for the Autobots army, he's known to run head first into danger, but he's always there to lend servo to his fellow friends if they are in danger. Optimus' eyes wide, he quickly, Hot Rod. Nice to see you, Prime, it's been too long. He warmly smiles to his commander, who responded with a nod. His view turns to Bumblebee, who hugs him tightly. Bumblebee, you found Prime. Why didn't you tell me? He asks. Bumblebee makes apologetic sounds while rubbing his head. Hot Rod understood what he said, patting his shoulder. Yeah, those guys are fast when they want to be. Bumblebee's eyes swing open as he starts to remember something really important. He hurriedly explains the situation involving humans who were caught up in the confusion when the battle started. Hot Rod rubs his head. I remember Warpath said he spotted 2 of the Seekers holding a group of femmes and a male hostage, so he said he'd rescue them. Both of the giants nod as they quickly transformed into their respective vehicle forms and drove uphill. Bang! 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 Warpath repeatedly chants, bang, as he levels half the forest trying to hit the Seekers. Izuku sees this and thinks, who the hell is this guy? No, this maniac. He jumps off a cliff, causes an explosion, and starts leveling the forest trying to stop the villains. This day has been terrifying and confusing at the same time. Cars and jets start transforming into giants and start a battle in the forest. The guns start to slow down their rotation as Warpath began approaching Izuku and the girls. They quickly ready themselves, getting into fighting position. Warpath immediately realizes that they see him as a threat. So he slowly lowers his guns to the ground and approaches them with both his hands raised. He quietly presses a button on his helmet, revealing his messy black hair and a set big blue glowing eyes. He was a teen by the looks of it and had Caucasian features. Hey guys. I'm not here to hurt you. He makes a peace sign with his finger. Cammy shakes her head sideways. Really, because you destroyed half of the forest. She gestures to behind. He looks back to see. The entire area was destroyed, scorch marks in the grass and burning trees. Rocks were crushed and blown apart. It looked like a scene from an apocalyptic movie. The giant sheepishly scratches his head and turns back to them. Did I go overboard? The group nods with blank expressions. Optimus finally arrives with the rest of the otherworldly visitors, transforming back to robot form. Optimus kneels down before them with relieved look. Are you all right, children? Izuku nods. Yeah, we're okay. All the girls follow suit. I'm fine, just bruised. Ochako rubs her back. I am okay, Cammy adds in. I can still move, 𝐻𝐿𝐴 said, smiling. May jumps in the air while smiling. I'm still functioning. They all smile, thinking it was over, but someone thought otherwise. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 runs up, pointing to the sky. Don't go celebrating yet. Because we got trouble on the way. And she was right. Just when things seemed alright, a squad of fighters appeared out of nowhere, shocking everyone as they hide behind the Autobots. 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 quickly aims her arm gun and aims at the most vulnerable spots of the Decepticon jets. Bang! 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 The bullets are launched from the barrel and into open, flying high and super fast through the air. The bullets start to close in on the jets, heading straight for the missiles under them. The bullets collide with their missiles. Boom. And they explode, taking the air vehicons out in the process. Great shot, Kira. 𝐻𝐿𝐴 compliments. Hot Rod quickly activates his earpiece to contact someone. Will Jack, we need a ground bridge ASAP. Roger that. A swirling vortex opens up behind, causing the humans to back surprised. Wah! Izuku gasps at the sight of the portal. His thoughts are filled with fear of this mysterious portal. Where did it come from? Whose quirk is it? Begins to mutter controllability, trying to make sense of this. Come on. Unless you want to be scrap, Hot Rod yells, running straight. Optimus, Ochako, 𝐻𝐿𝐴, Cammy and 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫 quickly follow after them while Izuku kept standing there. May quickly grabs his hand and drags him to the portal. You heard him, come on. She and Izuku quickly run through the vortex. Just as the enemy fighter craft let loose their rockets, the portal quickly closes just as the missiles collide with the ground. And a flaming cloud rises from the air, leaving nothing in its wake. its flames engulfing every vegetation around it, and the shockwave sends the trees flying into the sky uncontrollably, hitting two 𝐒𝐮𝐽𝐻 who flew too close to the explosion. Slipstream managed to link up with the rest of the Seekers after their near-death encounter with Warpath. They continue to circle around the scorched battleground, seeing the destruction both sides did. Acid Storm flies up to her captain's side. "What do we do now, Commander?" Slipstream thinks to herself, just when she had the Autobots leader and the wretched humans right, she wanted them more Autobots arrive to save their commander. All she wanted to do right now was to find out how they escaped, track them down, kill them, and make them regret humiliating her. But sadly she needed to put those plans on hold. That explosion probably caught the humans' attention, and the pros are probably on their way right now as she speaks. She needed to maintain the Decepticons' secrecy or face death for her careless actions. Fall back to base now, and so they retreat to the safety of the clouds gathering up above as the authorities quickly converge on the forest. An unknown location. Izuku and Mei ran out from the portal as its vortex quickly closes. The two run straight into the group, causing them to fall to the ground hard. They get tangled in each other and they struggle to get out. Someone is stepping on my stomach. Ochako tries to get a foot. "Get your foot off my face." 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫. Somebody's grabbing my butt. 𝐂𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐵 screams furiously. "Oops, sorry, that one was Izuku who blushes." "Perv, 𝐀𝐮_𝐬𝐴. My babies," Mei screams. A dozen arguments are back and forth between the party as they struggle to get up from the ground. Ahem, Hot Rod coughs out, trying to get their attention. The group continues yelling at each other so much they can't hear anyone else. The red giant had enough and turns on his engine to get their attention. WM. Finally, Izuku and the girls stop their bickering and take in their surroundings, and what they saw shocked them. The whole place was an underground base completed with everything they see: catwalks, advanced computers that were very big for their size, a large insignia engraved on the floor, and more giants they can count. In the far left corner of the room there was an ancient remnants of a flag painted on the wall. The deteriorated flag was the imperial flag of the former Japanese Empire before its defeat and was dissolved by the Allies in the Second World War. The thing was unreal to them, especially Izuku, who walks around the ramp with his jaw threatening to fall from his mouth. How is this possible? Hot Rod claps both his hands to get everyone's attention. "Welcome to Autobot Earth Base Bravo." He gestures around the base behind him, raising both his hands. Izuku eyes wide as he and his companions step back. This enormous place is their base. Just who are these beings and how many Autobots are out there? But he feels that this is only the beginning of something interesting.